Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more updates and more content. For training and mentorship of Microsoft Fabric, feel free to reach out 93907 17804. In this project, we create Lakehouse and upload files into it. We create Dataflow Gen2 for data cleaning and data transformation. Later, we create semantic model, implementing data modeling, making relationship between the tables, implementing business calculations and measures. At the end, we create stunning and interactive dashboard and find key insights from the data. Hi, my name is Sharat Chandra. I'm a Microsoft Certified Fabric Data Engineer Associate and Power BI Data Analyst Associate. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more projects. So what is the project? Opex Logistics. So there is an organization called as Opex Logistics. So what are they expecting? Let us see what is the content, what is the problem statement and all. Opex Logistics operates freight network. Freight is like a transportation. Okay. Freight is like a transportation across road, rail, airways, and seaways. Okay. So serving 200 enterprise customers through 30 contracted carriers on 50 defined routes. Operational and commercial data is exported from Oracle ERP Freight module as a CSV extract. So in any organization, if you take, there is a data source where the data is generated. SAP is the data source, ERP is the data source, financial data source. There are many modules available. For the transportation, we have a module called as ERP Oracle Freight module. So through the extractor, there is another tool where the data is extracted from the Oracle ERP Freight module in the CSV format. This project convert 8 raw defect laden extracted into a governed analytics solution, a star schema semantic model, a 5-page Power BI report with 14 KPIs, which is like a key performance indicators, and Microsoft Fabric pipeline that keeps fuel surcharges reference, current from a public live API. We will see how do we pull or whether we pull the data from the live API or not. Okay. So what is the next thing? Okay. What is the business domain? In the interview, you can explain, you can put it in your resume stating that you worked for a logistics domain. Okay. Logistics domain is also one of the topmost domain. Most of the companies, they recruit the candidates, those who have worked on the logistics domain. So what is the data volume? Don't worry about the data volume. So it can change. You can explain that you worked on 2 million, 1 billion records. No problem with the data volume. What is the platform are we using? So you can explain that. So we use the platform. We switch our Power BI license. We renewed the license from the Power BI's premium per capacity into the Microsoft Fabric F64, okay, or F32 or F1, okay, F32, F64, okay, F128, I think, yes, and F254, 256. Okay, so these are all the capacities. It is just like our memory. If you buy any mobile phone, what do you see? 2 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM, 16 GB RAM, or 256 GB internal memory. So if you purchase any mobile phone with a graphic processor and all. So here also we have like F632 or F64. This is the fabric capacity. So 32 is like a 32 V cores are being given. Okay, it is like a processor. So what is external ingestion? So we use US EIA Open Data API connection. So weekly diesel prices or monthly diesel prices. So if you want to get the live diesel prices, okay. So if you want to get the live fuel prices, so you want to calculate it into the freight revenue. So what do we do? So external integration, we get it from the US EIA open source. through API connection. So we will see how do we connect through the API. So what is the deliverables? Semantic model, Power BI report, build documentation, fuel rate pipelines. And we can go for what is the business objective? Single source of truth. So consolidate the shipment, customer, carrier, route, SLAs, fuel rate extracts into one governed model that finance, operation, and account teams read from. So the data is existing in different formats in different data sources. So what do they need? They want to have all this into the single governed lakehouse. Source visibility. So they want to see the measure on delivery, delay, cost, shipment outcomes, all this information. Contract accountability. In the interview, you need to explain all this. So there is a contract accountability. So they have the SLS with the logistics. What do you say? The vehicles. Okay, the vehicle is provided by some vendor, and if whether they are reaching on time or not. What are all the lanes that they are using? What are all the modes that they are using? How much petrol consumption? All this you have contract accountability. Commercial insight. What do we need to track? Track revenue. What is the growth? Customer concentration and revenue placed at risk by failed or delayed shipments. For example, we see many accidents. So on the road, the fuel tanker got down, or any truck that is carrying the vehicles got down. So what is whether it is a delayed shipments or not? So for that, by that they are risking that. Okay, they have some SLS, so they got some risk. And cost currency. So keep fuel charges reference data continuously up to date without the manual maintenance. They want everything to be automated. So after 1 month, yes, they got the fuel charges, fuel surcharges, Excel file, and they dump it, they calculate again and again. Okay, they do not want to have it. Every time they do not want to manually calculate all this information. Automatically, they should happen. So this is what. And what is the requirement? Append and deduplicate the historical and current 2025-2026 shipment extract. There are two files that we have. Okay, historical and the current data. They want to have it appended. So how do we append it on? Let us see that. Cleans all the identified data quality defects in Power Query Editor upstream of the model. So whatever we do in the Power Query Editor to our table is called as a model. Okay, is called as a model. The next thing is that, yes, after the data transformation, what do they need? They want to have a star schema. Okay, in any organization you go, we get some documentation about the project. Don't worry. So you got a question that whether we get these kind of a documentation or not. Yes, few of them clearly mention what they require. Few of them, they say that, okay, this is what we need. This is what we require. Or if you have any ideas, you can share. If you have any thoughts, if you have anything in your mind, you can share. So fact shipment, they want to have the fact and dimension tables separately. Deliver 14 KPI across the services, carrier SLA, commercial and cost lenses, and reusable DAX library. So, and the next one, functional requirement is like they want to see the overview, delivery and delay, carrier scorecard, customer and revenue, lane and cost. These 5 pages they want to see. Ingest weekly US prices from the EIA public API and merge monthly rates into fuel surcharges rates. So if you see, now we are in 21st July 2026, and the next week or every Sunday or every Monday, the fuel charges gets into picture. That is, they are going to generate, or they predict that this can be the fuel charges in the next 5 months or 6 months. So what do we need to do? Every week or every month, without the manual intervention, we need to get that fuel charges sheet or the data into the lakehouse automatically via API. Okay, so this is what the functional requirement. So I want you to understand, you go through this document, understand what is the project requirement and what is the business requirement. If you understand the business requirement clearly, okay, you can explain clearly in the interview. Okay, this functional requirement is enough for you to explain the project in the interview. Okay, this business requirement and the functional requirements are, this business requirement is from the business side. This functional requirement is the technical side by the BI. So the next non-functional requirement. Non-functional requirement is completely into the administration. Report refresh. How do they want to have the report refresh? And auditability. Automated rows are distinguished from manual history via rate source uploaded by the columns. And how do we maintain what is the usability of the report or the project? What is the problem diagnostic? Okay, data quality found in the source. What is that? So if you see mixed date format, so few of them have year, month, day format and day, month, year format. What do we need to do? In the 2025-2026 carriers fuel rates tables, we have something, there is a difference in the dates. So what do we need to do? We need to make this into correct format. Okay, there are different types of format. If you take US format, it's like a what do you say, month, day, year. If you go for UK format or Indian format, day, month, year. Okay, so we need to make it into a single format, whatever the format that is standard for the business. And if you see, we have something called as impossible date value, fuel charges rates effective to. So we need to refresh failing on date typing. Okay, so what do we have? We have something called as a carrier update 2026 mapping and overlapping shipment ID across two files. Okay, so there is something called as a double counting. We need to check, we need to remove the duplicates. Blank actual deliver on open failed shipments. So there is a blank shipments. We need to make some changes. And the next one, void financial rows. Is void equal to yes? Okay, overstated revenue if included. Geography mismatch. Okay, Houston, there is something called as a California. We don't know whether this Houston falls under California or not. Okay, customer or routes. What is the broken map visuals? Non-standard column headers. Okay, acquired by. Okay, we need to make some changes. Inconsistent model naming. Okay, what is the business problem? Okay, in the interview you get a question stating that yes, with your project, what is the achievement? Yes, you did a project on the logistics. What is the benefit or what is the outcome that they have got from the project? Okay, whatever the problem statement that we discussed, you can explain that the data is coming from the Oracle ERP. The data is not well. They are building something. They are extracting manually the fuel charges. They are extracting manually. So it is being automated. Okay, the data is not correct. There is a difference in the date and time. So you can explain whatever we discussed in here. Okay, so on-time delivery. So this is what we have it. 13.2% of the shipments are lost, less than 2%. US dollars 5.9 million, 58 million dollars of the revenue is at risk. Okay, sitting in lost and delayed shipments. I mean, you do not know. You sent your products to the customers. If you do not track your products from the shipments, okay, from that trucks through the rail, through the road, or through the airways, okay, if there is no tracking and someone tried robbing the products, or that truck is got hit and it fell on the road, there is a loss. Okay. Next one, all 30 carrier breach their contracted SLAs. I mean, we do not. You send the client is sending the truck. I mean, the products through airways, roadways, railways. Okay. So the next, by the 1st August, now we are in 21st July. By 1st August, that product should be reached to the destination. Okay. So whether they are reaching or not. Okay. Shipment days and arrival date or actual date. So this is under big exposure. This is a main thing to any logistics company. Okay, 7 delay causes. What is that? Mechanical, driver shortage, port, weather, traffic, carrier issue. Okay, how do we handle this? I mean, let's see whether we have this kind of a data or not. Okay, so this is what we have it. And what is the architecture? Okay, how do we get the data into Fabric Lakehouse? How do we shape the data into the layer? I mean, we do not discuss about this. What is the semantic model? How do we build the star schema? How do we make the relation between the tables? How do we make the data model and all? Okay, how do we make the data model and all? Okay, so till here, this is the business requirement. So how do we implement it in the Fabric environment? Okay, let us go and see. So let me go to home. The first and foremost step. Okay, so the first and foremost step when you work on the real-time project is to create a workspace. Okay, create a workspace. The first and foremost thing. Let me click on the workspace, click on the new workspace. So what is the workspace name? As we are working on the Opex logistics, let me go for writing Opex logistics. Logistics, Freight. Okay, Freight, what is that? Let me check. What do we have here? Freight analytics. Yes, Freight analytics. Let me go for writing Freight analytics. Yes, come down. Okay, come down. You see, click on the Fabric trial version and click on apply. Okay, the first step is create the workspace. Yes, we created the workspace. Okay, the second step is create the lakehouse. Create the lakehouse. Okay, so how do we create the lakehouse? So click on the new item and search. Either you can search in the Fabric, in the Microsoft Fabric. So we have different types of items. Whatever the platforms available in the Azure platforms, those are all available. Most of the platforms are available in the Microsoft Fabric. So what do we do over there in the Azure platforms? We create a linked services. We create the storage account. We create the containers. We go for we click on the we check the box of the hierarchies so that it becomes the Azure Lakehouse data lake. So here we can directly straightforwardly click on the Lakehouse. Okay. So let me go for writing the name as Opex underscore logistics underscore lakehouse, so that we can identify what we have it in here. Okay, so we have the lakehouse. We created the lakehouse. Okay, we created the lakehouse. What is the next step? Okay, in the organization, we directly from the pipeline, we directly connected to the Oracle ERP. But as we are working on here, we do not directly work on the Oracle ERP. But in the interview, you should say that we have the data source as the Oracle ERP. From the pipeline, we connected to the Oracle ERP and store the data into the lakehouse. But here, what do? We click on three dots and let us upload the files. Okay, let us upload the files. Okay, so these are all the files that we have. Let me click on Control A and click on Open. Click on Upload. So we are uploading the files under the files. Okay, we are uploading the files under the files. Let me click on Refresh. Okay, we have all the files. Okay, we have all the files. What is the next step that we need to do? Okay, let me change it into the Fabric. Okay, there are two environments. Let me change it into the Fabric. So what is the next step? The first and foremost thing that is being informed in the project documentation is, okay, so this is what the functional requirement that we need to implement. Okay, this is what the functional requirement that we need to implement. So how do we implement those? Okay, how do we implement in here? Okay, for implementation, let me go to the logistics. Where is that? Let me go to the workspace. Okay, if we want to implement the data cleaning, data transformation, so what do we need to do? We need to go for data flows. Click on the new item and click on the search for the data flow. Okay, search for the data flow. So we have two things in here. What is that? Dataflow Gen1 and Dataflow Gen2. Both of them are same. We can prepare the data, we can clean the data, we can transform the data. But what is the difference between Dataflow Gen1 and Gen2? Or what is a data flow? Okay, what is a data flow? So let me name this as Opex data flow. Okay, let me click on create. Okay. Now let us see what is a data flow. Why there are Gen 1 and Gen 2. Okay, first of all, what is a data flow? So the data flow is a, so what is a data flow? Data flow is a Power Query running in the cloud. Simple. What is a data flow? Power Query editor running in the cloud in the Power BI service. So what is the main thing over here? It is reusable ETL artifact. We can connect to transform and store the tables. So which many data sets can then consume as a single clean source. Okay, what is a data flow? So in the data flow, what we can do, if you see here, so we have something here. So what we can do here, okay, we have sources. So when we open the data flow, so data flow is just like a Power Query editor in the cloud service. So what do we do? So we open the data flow, we connect it to the different sources. Whatever the sources, many sources available, we can connect it to SQL Server, databases, Oracle, um, SAP data sources. We can connect it to CSV, Excel. Okay, whatever the data sources, Databricks, Azure Databricks, Azure SQL. So we can connect it to any data sources from the data flow, and this data flow is mainly used for data transformations. Okay, this data flow is mainly used for the data transformation. We can prepare the data, we can clean the data, we can transform the data, and we can click on close and up. Close, we can save it. Okay, we can save it. So that is data flow. So we can store the data. We can store the data in the table format. Okay, and after that we can use it. For example, the data flow has all the tables, 10 or 20 tables. Okay, the data has 20 tables. Out of 20 tables, for the manufacturing team, I need 10 tables. I can connect it to these 10 tables and I can work on data visualization. For the sales team, they require 5 tables. Okay, I can go for connecting to this same data flow. There is no need of building the data sets for different domains, for sales, for manufacturing, for supply chain. No, everything is available in the data flow. This data flow acts like a data set to the Power BI, and this data flow is a reusable connector. Okay, why? Build once, reuse everywhere. Okay, one clean customer table for all the reports. There is no need of building the query again and again. Customer table, for the manufacturing team, I want to build the customers. No, there is no need of building the customer separately. I have the customer table available in the data flow. I can connect it to that data flow and get the customer table. ETL separated from the modeling. So the data sets can be cleaned, transformed, and we can make the necessary changes. Source system, SAP ERP hit once, not every time. Whenever we click on the refresh, at the time of refresh, it is going to, the data flows is going to hit the ERP or any database and refresh the data. Central refresh schedule and the governance. Okay, this is the usage of the data flow. Okay, this is the usage of data flow. But what is the difference between Gen 1 and Gen 2? Okay, there are two things. Gen 1 is the legacy. Okay, Gen 1 is the legacy data flow. Gen 2 is the new latest updated version of the data flow. So where does it live? Data flow Gen 1 lives in the Power BI workspace, Gen 2 in the Fabric workspace. What is the engine that we use? Power Query engine works online. It is a mashup language. Okay, the language that we use in the Power Query editor is the M language, M query, or mashup language, or M query. Mashup language or mashup query. So Power Query plus Fabric compute. Okay, so where does the output goes? I mean, output in the sense, so we clicked on save after building the data flow Gen 1. Okay, this is being managed by the Azure Data Lake Service Gen 2. Okay, CDM folder, and it is logged. Okay, here we can select the destination. So where do, after making the necessary changes to the data set that we pulled into the data flow, we can store the data into the lakehouse. In the destination, we can store the data in the lakehouse, warehouse, Azure SQL, KQL databases. Okay, downstream use only Power BI data sets. Only Power BI, the BI developers can consume this data coming from the Dataflow Gen1. But coming to the Dataflow Gen2, this data set can be used in the Spark engine, in the SQL, as a semantic model, as a notebook, and this can be given into the machine learning models, artificial intelligence. The data set can be fed into the machine learning models and artificial intelligence. What is the incremental refresh? Premium only. But here we have a built-in fast copy and staging. Monitoring, basic refresh history. So we have something called as a, in the Dataflow Gen2 refresh history plus Fabric monitoring hub. What is the licensing? So as we discussed earlier, it's a pro user or premium per user or premium per capacity. Here we have something called as a Fabric capacity. What is SKU? Stock keeping, stock keep unit. Okay, so we have like P1, P2. So previously we had P1, P2, P4. Okay, so instead of here we have like F2. Okay, F2, F4, F16, something like that. Okay, this is capacity. Okay, what is the architectural difference where the output lands? Okay, what is the Gen1? Where does the output of Gen1 goes and Gen2 goes? Okay, Gen1 is a closed pipeline. Okay, this is the Dataflow Gen1 Power Query Editor managed by the ADLS Microsoft control. So what is that? Azure Data Lake Storage Gen2 account. Only it is used in the Power BI as a data set. Okay, storage is invisible to you. Nothing else in the stack can read. What is the Gen2? Which is a open pipeline. Okay, this Gen2 can be output. We can store this Gen2 into the lakehouse. Okay, we can store it into the warehouse. We can store it into the Azure SQL database, KQL database, and it can be consumed into the Spark, SQL, notebooks, semantic models, and also into the machine learning models. Okay, Gen2, Gen1 data flow do not migrate automatically to Gen2, export the Power Query template and import into the Gen2 data flow. Okay, Gen2 need Fabric capacity. A pro license alone won't run. Remember this. If you have a pro license and you want to migrate Gen1 into the Gen2, no, you can't, because your license is stopping you to migrate. So you should have Fabric capacity to migrate the data flow. In Gen1, computed entities and incremental refresh equal to the premium features. Gen2 without an output destination still changes to data flows staging and always set as a destination explicitly for production. We will see that. We will see that. Don't worry. What that fourth point means? If we do not consider the destination in the data flow Gen2, even though if we do not save it into the destination lakehouse, it can be stored into the data flows staging layer. Okay, this is in here. Overall, what is the summary? Dataflow is a reusable Power Query in the cloud ETL layer, and it can only be used for the Power BI as a data set. Gen2, it's a fabric. It can be used to a lot of things. And one-liner Gen1 feeds to Power BI, Gen2 feeds the whole data platform. Okay, this is the difference between the data flow Gen1. What is a data flow? What is a data flow Gen1 and Gen2? Okay. So the first and foremost thing is that, okay. So we opened the data flow. So if you remember, we clicked on the item data flow and we opened the data flow. So what do we need to do? The first thing it is asking, what it is asking? It is asking add default destination, import the files from the Excel, import from the SQL server. Let me click on get data from another source. Whatever the data source is available, we can see that. Click on the view more. Okay, it is just like a Power Query editor that we see in the Power BI. but it is in the online cloud platform. We can get the data from all these are the data sources. Click on the file, we can get the data from the Excel, CSV, or JSON format, SharePoint folder, Parquet files, PDF. We can also get the data from the different databases, SQL database, Oracle database, IBM, PostGRE, SAP HANA database, Google, Amazon databases, Databricks, Azure databases, okay? And Microsoft Fabric. We can get the data from the data flows, data marts, warehouse, lakehouse, power platforms, Power BI data flows, legacy, which is legacy is like an older one, okay? Dataverse, Azure platforms, we can get the data from the SQL database, Azure tables, Azure Synapse Analytics, Azure Data Explorer, Azure Cosmos DB, and also online services, SharePoint folders, Salesforce objects. Okay, so we have different types of data sources. So let me click on all. Let me come down. Okay, let me go back first of all. Let me click on home. Come down. Okay, come down. Click on the where is that Opex Logistics Lakehouse? Click on this. Okay, so we already loaded the data into Opex Logistics, but in the real time, you need to explain that ERP is the source. Oracle ERP Freight module is the source. Okay, you connect to that ERP, Oracle ERP, and get the data into that. And after loading the data into Lakehouse, then you go for it is when you get into the Fabric or into the Lakehouse, when you discuss that, it is not the ETL, it is the ELT, extraction, loading, and transformation of the loader. It is like ETLT. Sorry, what is that? It is like LTL. So it is like that. Okay, what is that? Extraction. First thing, what do we do? Extraction, loading the data. Okay, how you extract the data via pipeline and get the data into the lakehouse, loading the data, and then you go for the data transformation. After transformation, where do you store? Again, you load the data into the lakehouse. So it is ELTL. So I can simply say, okay. So let me click on the tables that I require. Okay, let me click on the tables that I require. I require all the tables. Okay, let me click on all these. Okay, and let me click on create. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to get the data from the lakehouse that is stored as the files. Okay, in the lakehouse, the data is stored as a files and getting it into the Dataflow Gen2. Okay, this is the Dataflow Gen2. Okay, this is the Dataflow Gen2. So what is the first and foremost difference that we see in the Dataflow Gen1 and Gen2 is, for example, let me go to the workspace. Okay, let me go into the workspace and let me click on the new item and let me go for seeing the Dataflow Gen1. Okay, you would understand what is the difference between flow. Let me click on flow, Dataflow Gen1. Yes, yes, create, no, create the Dataflow Gen1. Okay, now what do you see? We have something called as a define new table, link tables. Okay, let me click on add a new table. Okay, so we also get the same thing over here. You can browse, you can add the data. Okay, let me click on Control A. Select. Okay, probably I need to select one by one. Okay, no problem. So it is trying to connect. Okay, so let me click on organization. So we need to have, okay, we need to have the license part. We need to, we can't get the data directly into the Dataflow Gen1. Okay, so either we need to click on add new tables or we need to select, for example, if I want to select the lakehouse, okay, can I have the lakehouse? No, we do not have anything like a lakehouse as the data source. I can click on upload. Let me click on browse. Let me click on any one of the tables. Go for organization. Okay, let me check. Let it run. Okay, let it run. Your account does not have a sufficient license for OneDrive or business to complete the requested action. Please contact your organization. Or you can also do it in another way. Okay, if you're working for, let me click on back. Okay, what I can do, I can click on the blank table. Okay, let me click on next. click on create. This is another way of getting the data into the data flow. Yes, for getting the data into the lakehouse, I mean, sorry, into the data flow, we got by a blank query, blank table. Now what you can do, you see this is the data flow. Oh, sorry. So let me go for duplicate the table, duplicate the tab. So here I can see the difference between, let me remove the, yes, let me go here. Okay, so let me go here. Let me go to please close. Okay, it is asking us to close this. Okay, let me see here. So you would find the difference between the data flow Gen 1 and Gen 2. Okay, so you need to know what is the difference between the data flow Gen 1 and Gen 2. It looks similar. Okay, home, transform, add column, view, help. Okay, what do you see in the transform? Let me click on, if you click on the home, we have save, run, check validation. We do not have a something, okay, run MDF, transform, marriage connections. Okay, you see default data destination. This is not in the data flow Gen 1. Okay, for your understanding, what I can do, I can go for writing data flow. This is Gen 1, and here it is uh, data flow Gen 2. I can simply write Gen 2. Okay, so if I click on this, if I go to transform, okay, if I go to transform, and if I also go to transform, you see use transpose, everything is same. Okay, everything is same. Add column, and here also if you see add column, everything is same. But you see AI prompt column, which is not in the data flow Gen 1. Okay, it is not in the data flow Gen 1. AI prompt column. View, let me click on the view. So what do we see in view? Yes, everything is same in the view. Okay, so we have everything same in the view. But what do you see here? This is the data flow Gen 1. You can click on save and apply, save and close. Okay, but in the data flow Gen 2, what do we have? Add destination. Okay, data destination. Okay, data destination. For example, I want to copy this. Okay, let me see, Control C, whether let me, I'm able to copy this or not. Let me check, Control V. Credential required to connect to this. Okay, let me click on the credentials. Let me go for privacy organization. Let me check whether I'm able to create or not. Okay, let me click on connect. Well, how do we go? Let me click on general data load, data load gateway. Okay, we need to have actually, yeah. Okay, we have something called as we cannot connect here, but the thing is that this is what the difference. You can click on save and close. Okay, you can click on save and close. So what happens? This is stored. If I click on save and store, okay, it is storing, it is validating the queries. But the thing is that the first one, so what I can do, I can right click and delete this. Okay, I can right click and delete this. I can click on save and close. Now you see it is saving. Okay, it is asking us, okay, test data flow. So I can go for giving the test data. Okay, it is asking us refresh now, set a refresh schedule. Okay, set a refresh schedule. This one, so if you have seen that this one is stored in Azure Data Lake storage account. Okay, Gen 2 account. This is stored in managed by ADLS Gen 1. Okay, so what do we have in the Gen 2? Okay, what do we have in the Gen 2? We can go for in the Gen 2, we can go for go to home and I can click on save and run, save, run and close, save and close. These are all the things that I can do in the Dataflow Gen 2. So this is the difference between the Dataflow Gen 1 and Dataflow Gen 2. So remaining all are same. So I can click on destination. So click on plus add destination. I can click on the lake house. I can see whatever the lake house I have. Okay, this is the connection credentials. I can click on the next. So we can select, okay, if you want to make any changes, okay, I can take off the CSV and I can expand the current lake house, and whatever the lake house I want to save, I can click on that logistics lake house. This is what the lake house that we created. and I can expand it. Okay, under the DBO. Okay, under the DBO, I can store this. Or no, I do not want to store under the DBO schema, but I want to create another schema. What we can do, we can go to that Opex logistics. Okay, here what we can do, we can create another table shortcut. Or if we do not want to have it, we can go for, let me click on refresh. So we can go for creating another one. Let me check whether we can create new schema. Okay, click on the three dots, new schema. Okay, new schema. So we can go for writing any schema, logistics. Okay, so I can go for logistics. So we are trying to create another schema called as a logistics schema. Okay, and now let me go to Opex data flow. Here, what I can do, I can click on refresh. Do we have anything called as a refresh button? No, okay, yes, we have the refresh. Okay, let me expand it. Now let me expand the logistics lakehouse. Now we haven't got anything. Let me click on the refresh again. No, we haven't got anything. Okay, now let me click on this. Let me click on the refresh connection. Go to next. Expand the current workspace. Expand the logistics lakehouse. Now you see logistics. This is the where whatever into the logistics schema, this data is stored in the table format. Okay, so we are trying to get the files from the lakehouse, and we go for making data transformation in the data flow and storing this data flow in the format of tables. I mean, whatever the table that is existing in the data flow, we are storing. Now you see, it is saying that how do you want to store the data? Okay, do you want to make anything? Use automatic setting, or you can disable this. And if you want to make any changes, now you see column 1, column 2, column 3. So it is not showing the column 1, column 2, column 3. It should not be column 1, column 2, column 3. It should be, we need to make some changes to the column headers. There is a problem with the column headers. Okay, what do we need to do? Let me click on save settings. No problem. We can make changes in here. Okay, now you see. Now if you observe, what do we see in here? Okay, column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. No, this data is not right. What do we need to do? We need to make carrier ID, carrier name, carrier type as the column header. How do we do? Click on the transform. We have an option called as use first row as header. Click on this. Yes. Now the column names, column headers are being changed. Now what do we have? Acquired by. And if you see in the acquired by, we have something called as a question mark. I do not know what is this question mark. Holdings question mark US private limited. No, this is not right. It should not be question mark. There is a problem with the data. I mean the data existing in the acquired by column. And if you see everything, you see everything is being with underscore carrier underscore ID, carrier underscore name, carrier underscore tire, transport mode, primary underscore region. So we need to make changes to the name. Okay, we need to make the column headers name changing. So how do we make the changes to the naming? Double click. Okay, you go for writing carrier. Okay, standardize this carrier ID. Okay, carrier ID. You observe in the data flow, what we did, we made the change of the name, and whatever the name that we are changing, it is being applied as the step over here. What is this? Renamed. I can expand this. Okay, what is this? Renamed columns. Previous step, promoted headers. Okay, previous step, promoted headers. And what do we have here? The next, what do we have? Promoted headers. When we renamed it, we got renamed headers, renamed columns. So when we try to rename, when we try to make any changes to the data in the data flow, those changes will be applied as the steps in the applied steps. Okay, applied steps. And we do not have an option to click on Control Z, Control Z to get into the previous step. What we can get into the previous step, but there is no Control Z option. When I clicked on the promoted header step, now you see carrier underscore ID. When I clicked on the renamed columns, we got renamed. What we can do here, I can double click again. I can go for carrier name. I can next one is I can right click and also I get the information over here. The transformation options over here. What do we have? Something called as a rename. Yes, you see rename. So what I can do? Carrier tire. Okay. And the next one is transport mode. I can go for changing transport mode. And the next one is primary region. Primary region. Contract start. So when does the contract start? Contract start date. Let me name this as contract start date. Better, better if you have the date. So that would be better to understand. Yes, this has the contract start date, contract end date. Yes, that would be easily understandable format. What is the contact mail? Everything is same. Okay, fast free something, some name, Opex, you see summary. Okay, there are different types, the different types of contract, the vendors, the truck information. Okay, blue line carrier, this is one of the carrier that we have. You see we have different types of carriers, whether this is active or not, is active, whether this contractor is active or not. Okay, HQ city, HQ city, what is the destination city or whatever the city. And what is the next one? Acquired by. Yes, every acquired by is good. But if you see, we have something called as a holding something here. We want to go for data transformation. So how do we make this data transformation? I do not want to see this question mark for the holding US private limited. How can I do that? Go to add column. We have an option called as a column from example. I can click on from selection. Without writing any code, we can make the changes. No code, low code. Okay. What I can do here in the holding private limited, what I can go here, double click on this. I can click on this, but I would like to change. I would like to take this off. The question mark and space. Okay. So it did not understand. Let me control C and let me also do the same thing over here and click on enter. Now you see everything changed. Okay. The question mark is being erased. And what do? I'll go for writing acquired by, let me click on enter. Okay. So it is saying that already it exists. The name already exists. For now, let me go for acquired underscore by and let me click on OK. And if you see the transformation that we are there, it is being allocated. Okay. This language that you see, table dot add column. Okay. This is called as a M language, M query, mashup language, mashup query. Okay. What is that? Text dot replace is the function or function name. Acquired by, you replace this special character question mark with blank. Okay, with the blank. So now you see inserted the replaced state. Now you see everything looks good. The first one is completed. Okay, carrier updated mapping is completed. The data transformation is completed. Let us go to the carrier underscore SLA. Okay, now let me take this off SLA, CSV. Click on enter. What do we need to do here? Here also we need to go for click on the transform, click on use first as header. Now it is promoting the header. Now you see what do you see? Now you see the change type, column type. Automatically Power Query Editor or Dataflow, it is applying the column change. The data types are being updated automatically based on the data that is available in the column. Now you see SLA ID. So we have the SLA, which is a combination of text plus number. SLA CAR is the text, alphabetical, and 001 is a numeric, alphanumeric. For in any programming language, if you see that there is a combination of alphanumeric, then that becomes the text data type. Okay, what is the next step that we need to do? So simple, straightforward, SLA. So double click and make the changes to the column names. Okay, SLA underscore ID, SLA space ID. And the next thing over here, carrier ID. And now you see fast freight INC, blue line carrier. These are all the carrier names. We see that, okay, we see regularly, we see the transportation carrier name and the carrier tire. on time percentage. Okay. So out of 100 percentage, how these carriers are performing? On time threshold percentage. On time threshold percentage. PCT's percentage. Maximum delay days. Okay, maximum delay days. And the next one is damage rate threshold. Any damage to the products, damage days threshold. Penalty. So, for example, the client can go for penalty. Okay, they can if they do not reach in the penalty. Okay, let me go for naming this as penalty per breach. Or I can also go here. I can also change it over here. Penalty per breach. Okay, I can click on enter. Okay, when whichever you see everything, the columns are getting added into the into this function uh, window, into this fx window. Okay, what is this review frequency? Review. Okay, let it be SLA effective date. SLA effective date. SLA version. If we do not want this version, we can remove this SLA version. And who are being managed by? Okay, this is managed by. Okay, it is being managed by. And if you see, we have the name that is being not incorrect. Okay, what do you do? Replace the text and control A, control C, and make it as Opex. And let me click on match entire cell content. Everything will be replaced. Now you see, without writing any code, now how simple it is. You see, no code, low code. Dataflow Gen2 or Dataflow are like no code, low code. Without writing any code, you can go for. So now let me click on save, run, and close. So whatever the data that we have, I mean, we did not, for carrier SLA, we did not added the destination. Okay. Now you see it is started running and it works and it is going to get saved in the fabric, in the one lake catalog. So everything, whatever the data that gets into fabric, it is stored in the one lake. Why do we need to go for transformations in the PySpark? So Dataflow Gen2, I mean, PySpark maintains the multiple engines, multiple what is that the virtual machines. So if you want to load the huge amount of data, if you want to transform the data 1 billion or 10 billion records, so PySpark is capable of handling such huge amount of data, whereas coming to the Dataflow Gen2, it cannot handle huge amount of data for the data transformation. Yes, loading and all those things it can do that, but data transformation it cannot. So what is a data transformation? The first and foremost the basic question is like, what is data transformation? So I think in the previous session, we have seen what is a data transformation. So we are trying to, what we did in here. So we promoted the header is first data transformation. Then again, the next step is we renamed all the columns. The third step that we did is like, so we made a couple of changes to the acquired by column. So by giving, by eliminating the question mark or whatever the special characters, which is unknown special characters that is being removed from the what is that? The column. We created another separate column. Or it can also be done by using right click and we can also click on replace values. I mean, we created acquired by column. We created acquired by column. So what we did? Text dot replace. So we are replacing this question mark with space. So we are replacing the question mark with space. But if you, I mean, we are creating another column. So based on the add column from example. So when we go for add column and we create any one of the options that we see here. So we are trying to create another column. Or if you want to get it applied on the same column, we do not want to have it another column. What we can do? So we can right click. We have an option called as replace values. So what do we need to do? Let me copy this and let me take this question mark and click on OK. So what it is saying, match entire cell content. Let me click on OK. Now let us see what is the output that we are going to get. Now if you see Holdings US Private Limited, and we also got, so we wherever there is a question mark special character, it is being replaced by a space. So this is for a single replacement. Now we have multiple data which is being like that. If we have another column, Fox International, we also have something in over here. So what do we need to do? We can write some custom column, or we can write if else condition so that we can replace the values. So this is another way of doing it. So for now, what do I do? So I will remove this acquired by column. So how do I remove? So just click on remove column, or we can also do it by, so inserted replace the text. So let me remove this step. That's it. Yes. So we replaced whatever the step that we created, extra step, that is being removed. So if you see here, so everything is cleaned. Now it is good. So what is the next step? Okay. The next step is go to carrier SLA. Carrier SLA, both of them are similar. So what do? I do not want to make anything. So I can ignore this. I can remove this carrier underscore SLA. I can remove this. But so let me delete this, or I can click on, we have an option called as enable staging. Okay, enable staging. So what is this enable staging or disable staging? So if I click on this, now you see, so which is in a correct format, carrier CSV, if you observe the next table. So the text and the font style and above carrier underscore SLA, it is turned into the italic. Okay, this has been turned into italic. So which represents that this carrier underscore SLA will not be loaded when we click on close and run, save. Okay, so when we get this data into the lakehouse, or when we get this data into the Power BI desktop, we will not be able to see carrier underscore SLA, which is not being loaded. So this loading is being stopped in the data flow. Okay, loading is being stopped in the data flow. So that is, so what I did, I already have the carrier updated mapping. So I do not want to load this carrier underscore SLA. Okay, so this is the first thing. So next one, carriers CSV. So the next table is carrier CSV. So let me rename this to just carriers. So the table, we are renaming the table. And if you see column 1, column 2, column 3, the general thing is that go to transform and click on use first as header. Yes. So we have made changes. So if you see, the change column type is the automated step that is being added by the data flow itself. Okay. It observes what kind of a data that we have over here. So let me double click and let me make the changes to the column names. Okay. Carrier name, carrier name. So here also you can change it. So if you see, so it is being enclosed in between the flower bracket. Okay, it is being enclosed in between the flower bracket. Let me write carrier tire. And the next one is transport mode. Transport mode. Next one is primary region. So the next one is, so here it is contract start date. Contract start date. And the next one is contract end date. So after the contract start date, contract end date. Next one is contact email. So whether this is active or not. So whether this is active or not. And the next one is HQ city. So this is what we have it over here. So this is about the carriers. So let me click on the customers. Okay, let me click on the customers. You got a question, carrier, we have the carrier. So the same thing, carrier name, carrier type till the HQ city. Carrier SLA, I think it is different. Okay, carrier updated, what do we have? Okay, so I think carriers, we will not be using the carriers. Okay, we will not be using the carrier, but carrier SLA, yes, we need to have that. Okay, so what do we have here? Why SLA ID? I think yesterday we renamed it. Okay, let it be the same thing. Let us use the carrier underscore SLA. So let me go to the customer. So let us make changes to the customers table. So what do we need to do? The next step, use first as header, and let us rename the column names. Okay. So let us go with the customer ID, customer name, and contact name, contact email. I mean, if you want to drop, we can drop over here. Or if you want to have the contact details, okay? For example, I do not want to have the contact details. Okay, I can expose the customer name, but I do not want to expose the customer contact details. Okay, I do not want to expose the customer contact details. What I can do, I can remove this. Right click, we have an option called as remove column. Yes, we can remove this column. Okay, so we remove the contact details. So let me enter the city, state. So we get confused. So why do we get confused? So we are using the customer city. So what do? I'll go for writing customer space city. So that when we try to make some data visualization and when we see the city that is existing in the carrier updated mapping and also in the customer, we get confused. Okay, what do we do now? So let us go with customer state and customer city so that we get to know. So this is what the customer state and this is what the customer city and the carrier mapping carrier city. So we have sector and what is account tier, whether it is a gold customer, platinum customer, bronze. So if the customer pay pretty good on time, so it is like just like our credit civil score. Okay, credit limit. So when the customer joined it, and whether the customer is active or not, whether the customer is trying to get in touch with the company or not. So this is what we have it in the customer table. The next step is fuel charges rates. So if you see, let me click on use first as header. So what do we see here? So we have period month fuel charges. So we have the data from 2023 to 2024. Okay. And what do we see? We have applied modes, rate, uploaded by timestamp, notes and all. So let me name this as period month. And let us also go with the fuel surcharges. Okay. Before directly go for making the changes, let me remove this. Okay. Why do we need to remove? So let me remove the renamed columns. Okay. Because so if you see, we have another table called as fuel charges 2025 to 2026. So what do I do here? Also, let me go for making use first as header. Okay. So when we clicked on use first as header, so it automatically added the change column type. Now, if you see, we have 10 columns and 19 records. So we have the data from 2025 till 2026 current month, July. Okay. So what is the organization or the something they maintain some standards. What is the standards are like if you go for fuel charges or any exchange rates. Okay. For example, if you take the exchange rate, the conversion of US dollar to Indian currency. Okay. So if you see the exchange rate, okay, US dollar to INR. So what is that US dollar to INR? So what do we have here US dollar? So it is 96.26 rupees Indian currency. Okay. So what is that? So what is the conversion rate? Okay. What is the conversion rate? It is 1. Okay. The conversion rate is 1. I mean equivalent to 1 I can simply say. Okay. It is equivalent to 1. So if you see that would be same until the end of the month. Okay. Until the end of the month. For example, if I go for euro. Okay. So what is this? 0.88 is the conversion rate of euro. Okay. 0.88 is the conversion. For example, if you take something, the calculation. Okay. So $1, 1 US dollar is equal to 0.88 euros. So maybe that is being calculated with one name multiplied by some value exchange rate. That exchange rate would be Same throughout the end of the month. Again, the next month it changes. Okay, when something is changed. Okay, when there is a, you see for the sixth month. Okay, the percentage rate is 0.2242, which is applicable to throughout that month. It does not change every day. That exchange rate or the fuel percentage, fuel charges does not change daily. It changes maybe weekly or maybe monthly, but it does not change every day. So that is the standard that every organization maintains. And if you see, we have the data of 2025. We do not want to have it in two, three tables. We want to have it in a single table. I want to have this 2025, 2026 data added to the main fuel surcharges. So how do I do that? We have an option called as, let me click on home, combine. We have an option called as append queries. Okay, let me click on append queries. What is the append queries? Concatenate rows from two tables, two or more tables into a single table. Okay, this is how we use append. So what is that table that we want to append? Fuel surcharges rates 2025, 2026, and let me click on OK. So what is the thumb rule of append is the number of columns should be same and the column names should also be same. If the column names are different, then we will get nulls. Okay, that is the reason I have not changed the column names. So if I change the column names and if I append this, so what happens? So we would get the different column names as the extra columns, and whichever the data is not matching, we are going to get the nulls. So that is the reason I did not make the changes directly on individual tables. Now you see there is a symbol called as a flash symbol. Okay, so this table is dependent on another table. So what do? I will right click on the 2025, 2026 and click on disable this enable staging. So why? So when we close, when we run this, so we will get errors. So that is the reason we are using disabling the load. So let me click on this. Now what do we need to do? So let us go for renaming this period underscore period month. So I can also go here. Okay, I can also type over here fuel surcharges percentage. And if you see, everything is in USD. Okay, diesel. Okay, what is that diesel name? Diesel price USD. Diesel price USD. So what is the effective from and effective to? Okay, so it is applicable. And if you also see effective from, so you observe the date format of effective from and effective to. The date format is in, so this is actually, if you see the data type, so these are all the data types that we have it in the Power BI. I mean, it is in the Power Query Editor and also in the Power BI. And also if you also go for the Fabric platform also, these are all the data types. So what are all the data types that we have? Decimal, currency, we can go for currency, and whole number, percentage, date, time, time zone, duration. So if you go for any delivery products, so text data type, true false. True false is like a boolean, but it is called as a true false. Binary is like a zeros and ones. Using local is like a language. Okay, using local is like a language. Based on the language, so the text is going to get changed. And if you say effective to, so let me change this into, it is being added as a text data type. So let me make the changes into the date data type. Okay, we are getting errors. Okay, we are getting errors. So why are we getting errors? Maybe there is a difference in the date format. And if you see the date, you see 31/01/2023, and what is this? 2023/02/30 and 31/03/2023. 30/04/22. I mean, the date format is in not correct format. I mean, if you see the first row, the second row is not following the same thing. Okay, it started with the day, month, year, and the next one started with year, month, day, and the third one started with day, month, year. And if you see here, year, month, day. So what do we need to do? If you see here, okay, So we can go for writing. Okay, we have an option called as we can get add column. So we can go for what is the date and time column. Okay, so what we can do, we can go for year, end of the year or start of the year, month. So we can go for end of the month. Okay, we can also extract end of the month. Okay, now you see we got end of the month, but the thing is that, okay, it is not applicable. Okay, if you think that this is not applicable as per, I mean, we are able to extract the end of the month, but this is not applicable, like not applicable to individual month. Okay, it is not applicable to individual month. So how do we handle? So let me click on column from example from selection. Let's see how we can handle this. Okay, 1 hyphen, okay, sorry, 31 1 2020 2023. So let me click on this. So I did not understand. What do we need to do? The next step is, okay. So the next step is 1 2, sorry. The second month you see 30. So we will not be having the date like 30. So it's a typo error. In the February, we will be having the date till 28 days only. Okay. So what do I do? So I'll go for 28 to 2023. So let me click on this. Okay, we are getting the same thing. So let me go for 31 3 2023. Let me click on this. Oh, you did not understand. Let me go for it again. 30 is 4 2023. No, you did not understand why. Okay, let me do one thing. So let me cancel this. So let me change this into using local. So let me change this into Indian format, for example. So Hindi Indian format. Okay, let me check. Yeah. So if you see, we got it. So we changed this into the Indian, okay, Indian format or UK format or whatever the format that we have it over here. But if you see, so we got something like, okay, so if you see, we got Hindi, IN, Indian. So we got one error. Let me click on this error. What is that error? So what is that error? It is not able to format 2023 0 to 30 into the Indian format or whatever the. So what do we have in the next? Okay, 23. It started with the year. Okay, we got the same thing from here. So we got over here. Okay, let me go for getting. So we can also do it in another format. So we can also extract here. So for now, what do I do? Let me go for replacing it. Simple. So I can go for replacing. Right click. So let me click on this. We have an option called as replace errors. Replace error value with. So let me go for. So we can also go for a conditional column. Effective date. Or we can do one thing. So what I can do, I can go to the renamed columns. Okay, I can go to the renamed columns. So here, if you see, we have something like this. So let me replace this, replace value. So let me click on it. It is asking us, so would you like to enter the step in between? Okay. So let me go for 30, 0, sorry, not 30, 28, 02, 2023. Okay, let me click on OK. Let me come down. Do we have any other one? Okay, we do not have anything. So now it works. Okay, now it works. Yes. Now it is working. So let me click on delete. Actually, there is no need of worrying about it. Okay, actually there is no need of worrying about it. So what is the thing is that, so we have end of the month. Okay, we can also go for date only, or we can also go for year, start of the year, end of the year, or we can also go for start of the month and end of the month. Okay, if I click on end of the month, we get the end of the month. Okay, from the start date to end of the month. Now you see, we are getting, but it is not in a correct format. Okay, maybe this, if this is not in a correct format, the one which we selected, the end of the month, okay, from the effective from, so it is in 1 2 3, so probably like a day month year format. Okay, day month year format, so we should be getting that, but end of the month is not working in here. Okay, let me delete this. Okay, so now we have got, we clean the data effective from and effective to. Let me go for writing effective to. So applied mode. Let me click on this. So what is the rate source? How are we getting the data? Rate source we are getting from, so this website, this platform, and uploaded by, and what is the timestamp? When did they upload, and what is the notes? Upload timestamp and the notes or remarks, whatever. So what is the reason? Why are they making changes? So Q1 review, spot rate adjustments, market adjustment. If there is a war in between two countries, okay, so that can be the reason where they are going to increase the price, fuel charges. Okay, so the next one is lane mapping. Okay, the next one is lane mapping. So what do we do in the lane mapping? Lane mapping, go to transform, click on use first choice header. So we need to rename the same thing, standardizing the column names. Standardizing the column names, lane ID, route ID, lane code, lane name. So what is the region? Sub-region. So what is the lane tire? So average freight, where is that? Average freight rate. So what is the effective date? What is the expiry date? So last updated by. So I mean, we do not use it, but in the analysis, we do not use. What is the version? So I can directly give the version. Okay. So lane mapping is completed. Okay, we have completed the lane mapping. So what is the next thing that we need to do? So what is the next thing that we need to do is, so let me take off the CSV and let me click on the routes. What are all the routes that we have? Okay, what are all the routes? So click on the use first choice header. So let us rename all these again. Route ID, origin city, destination city, route ID, origin city, destination city, origin state, and what is the destination state, and how many miles it traveled. distance miles. So estimated transit days, how many days it took to travel. So what is the lane type? And what is the region, whether it is active or not. That's it. So if you observe, we in the lane mapping, we also have lane ID and route ID. So in the routes, what do we have? We have route ID. So I do not want, I mean, we do not want to have in the shipping CSV, shipments CSV, we do not want to have this mapping. I mean, so if you want to make a relation between the tables, we do not want to make a snowflake relation between the tables. So what do we do? Lane mapping. We, by using the route ID, we are going to make a relation with the route ID in the routes. No, that would be a circular dependency when we go for data modeling part. So instead of doing that, what do? We go for join the tables. Okay, we go for joining the lane mapping and routes. Okay, lane mapping and routes. So what is that join? Join means, so how do we join? So we join it on, okay, go to the add columns. We have an option called as, okay, let me click on home. Combine, you see an option called as merge queries. Okay, merge queries are like joining condition. Okay, let me go for taking the routes. What is the column name? Route ID in the lane mapping, route ID in the, what is that in the routes. Now, if you see how simple, you see left outer join, right outer join, full join, inner join, left anti, right anti, you see. So there is no need of writing any code. Okay, df underscore route, df underscore lane dot join, open the bracket. What is the common column? What is the common column between two tables? And how how left outer join on equal to root ID. So there is no need of writing any code over here in the PySpark or in the SQL. Okay, there is no need of writing any code over here. What you can do, you can click on the join guide. Which join would you like to implement? So I can directly implement the join and let me click on OK. And it is also saying that there are no duplicates in this table. So there are 50 records existing in the lane mapping and 50 records are matching from the routes. Let me click on OK. So how do we extract the columns from that table? Let us see that. Now you see that we got another column which contains the table. Table in the sense this column exists. I mean, this column has all the table, I mean, all the columns coming from the roots. Click on expand this. Okay. What are all the columns that we want to select? I do not want to select the root ID. I want to have all these. Let me click on OK. So we have expanded the roots so that we get all the columns. Now you see we got all the columns over here. Okay. For the roots, what do I do? Right click and click on disable the staging. And let me go to the shipments. So what do we need to do here in the shipments? So go to transform, use first choice header. Okay. So what is the next step? Go to 2025, 2026. So if you observe here, you see columns, 19 columns on the bottom left side, and the rows are 99 plus. Let me go to the 2025, 2026 file, and let me click on use first choice header so that we can append this 2025, 2026 into the main table of the shipments. So let me go to this and let me click on enter and let me make this as fact shipments. Okay, and let me go to home and click on append queries. Let me click on this and click on OK. What is the difference between append and merge? Append concatenating the table rows. The rows are added one after the other, but merge is like joining the columns. So we can extract the columns. So that is the difference between merge and append. Let me click on staging. Now what do? I will go to each and every one of it. So let me make this into dim carrier. Okay, dim carrier. Let me remove this. Click on enter. Okay. The next one is carrier SLA. Okay. So let me go for naming this as dim carrier SLA. And what do we need to do? We need to add the destination. So where do we want to have this data stored? Let me click on add data destination lakehouse. So let me click on next. So where do we want to have this stored? Current workspace, Opex logistics lakehouse, and we want to have it in the logistics. Let me click on next and click on save settings. And for now, what do I do? Let me click on save and run. Okay, we did it only for two. Let me go to Opex logistics and let me click on refresh the lakehouse, and let me also click on refresh the schema. And let's see whether we have got this or not. Okay, now let us not worry about it. So let me go to carrier. Okay, carrier we disabled. Let me click on customers. So what do I do? Let me click on destination lakehouse. So click on next. So click on current, expand the current workspace, expand the logistics lakehouse, and click on the lakehouse and click on, we can also rename this capital letter customers. Okay, we want to rename this. Okay, so let me go for writing dim customers. Click on OK. Okay, let me write for it. Now also let me go for writing dim. So here, let me go here. So rename this into dim fuel charges. Percentage. So let me click on the lake house, the destination. So you need to select the credentials. You need to click on organization. So until and unless if you do not click on organization, you will not get your credential part. So expand the current workspace, expand the logistics lakehouse, click on the logistics and click on next. Click on save this. Yes, now we got it. Let me go to lane mapping. Same thing, we can do this. So dim lane mapping, dim lane mapping. So let me click on this. So go to add destination, lakehouse, click on next, expand the current workspace, expand the Opex logistics, click on the logistics and click on save settings. So if you want to manually make the changes to the source data type and destination type, okay, we can also do that. So let me click on the routes. Routes, I think we disabled it. Let me click on the fact shipments and click on the data destination, lakehouse, click on next, expand the current workspace, Opex logistics expand, and click on logistics and click on next. Click on save settings. I think on the right side, yeah. So we missed to give the shipment, the naming, shipment ID. So we did not make any changes over here. So let us go for making customer ID, customer ID. And what is the next one? Carrier ID. So route ID. We can ignore if you all route ID and shipment date, shipment date. So we have something called as ABC123. ABC123 represents it is not the data type given. It is any data type. So what do we need to do? Let me click on date data type. Okay, we also have the time, but let us ignore the time. Okay, let us ignore the time. Estimated delivery, make it into date data type. Okay. Next one, actual delivery, make it into date data type. Okay. So we haven't made the spelling changes. Estimated space delivery. Let me click on this actual delivery. And the next one is shipment status. Click on this. Next one is freight type. So what is that freight? So we regularly send the products. Okay. If you are in US or UK, so what do we do? From India, what do we do? So we transport something to you. Okay. Whether it is a pickle or anything, any food items. Okay. So how much does it take for 1 kg or for 2 kgs? Okay. So based on the taxes and all, what is the weight kgs? What is the how much quantity are we sending? What is the freight rate? What is the freight revenue? How much revenue that the Opex logistics is making? Origin port and destination port. Origin port code and the destination port code. And what is the delay reason? Any reason for delays? And whether it is a voice or not is void. What is the source system? Ingestion timestamp. So we do not want to have the source system and ingestion timestamp. Let me remove this, but we do not use it. I mean, we only have a static one, Oracle ERP Freight. So let me remove the columns because there is no need of this. Columns would not help us in the analysis part. So that is the reason I'm removing it. And let me click on save, run, save and run. Let me click on save and run. Okay. So it started. Let me go here and let me check whether we have got any data or not in the logistics. Okay, so until it runs, okay, let me go for looking at the workspace. Okay, it is running. Did it run? 8:07 a.m. Yeah, it ran. But what is the reason? Last updated date. What is the error? Let me check the error. Okay, settings. So click on the recent run and check what is the reason for the failure. So let me click on the download the refresh file history. So let me click on the Excel file. So what is that? We got one error. What is that error? There was a problem refreshing the data flow query. Dim carrier, missing column, column 1, column 2, column 3. Dim carriers. Okay, let me check the dim carriers. So what is that dim carrier? Where is the dim carriers? Okay, we already did that. Why are we getting this dim carriers? Model output destination column missing query request. No, we are not able to see this. Okay. Okay, let me check that. So it is showing only dim carrier. Okay, let me remove this first of all. So let me add the destination. So let me click on this, click on save and set. Okay, now we got, let me click on save and run. Okay, it is in progress. Let's see whether it succeeds or not. Let us see that. So it may take around 1 minute or 30 seconds to run the whole data flow. And let's see whether the output is going to get populated in the lake house or not. Yes, I think we got. Now you see, we got all the tables. So let me go here. So let me go to what is that recent runs. Okay. Now if you see, it is in progress. Okay, it is in progress. Oh, why? It failed. I think, but we got the data. Okay. So let me click on any one of it. Let's see whether we got the data or not. Okay, dim carrier SLA, dim carriers. Yes, we got the data. Dim customers, we got the data. Dim fuel charges, surcharges, okay, we haven't got the data. Dim lane mapping, we got the data. Dim shipments, we haven't got the data. Okay, we need to check fuel charges percentage. Okay, so let me remove this first of all. And let me go for adding the lake house again. Go to next. Click on the current workspace. Click on the Opex logistics, and let me click on next. The specified table already exists. Okay, let me go for giving a space percentage. Let me click on save settings. Okay, let me go for fact shipments, and let me delete this. Let me click on Lakehouse. It should have asked override something like that. The data should be overwritten, but it is not asking. So let me go for Opex logistics. Let me click on next. Okay, it is also saying the same thing. Fact shipments. Let me write capital S and let me click on OK. So click on save and run. So there are multiple options. Let me click on save, run and close. So it is going to save the data flow, run the data flow, and the window will be closed. The data flow will be closed. Now let me go here, click on that workspace, and now you see it is refreshing. Okay, it is refreshing. So let me go to the same logistics lakehouse. Let me go for refreshing the table. Let me go for refreshing the schema. No, we haven't got anything. Let's see whether we get it or not. Yes, it is running. So it triggered at 8:14, 15 seconds AM just now. And we can also schedule the refresh. Okay, what is the next refresh? So we can also schedule the refresh of the data flows. Let's see how do we schedule the refresh of the data flow. Oh, it failed. So let me check recent runs. Let us see why it is failed on demand. Let me click on download this. Let me click on this. Okay, there was a problem with the data flow, something that went wrong. Okay, could not refresh because document mashup. And if you observe, okay, these are all the tables. Okay, this is the data flow, and what is that? What are all the table names? Okay, so what is the first table name? Carrier. It succeeded. SLA. It succeeded. What is the refresh status? What is the customers? It succeeded. Fuel charges? No, it did not. And the shipments? It did not succeed. Okay, there is a problem with this. So let me click down. Could not refresh the entity because of an issue with the mashup document. Error is in replacing the table's content with the new data. Okay. We could not parse the input as a data value, date value. Okay, date value. We could not parse the input provided as a date value. Okay, I think there is an issue with the data type date. We could not parse the input. Okay, detail. What is this? 2021-02 2025. Okay, what is that? We could not parse the input provided date value. Okay, there is an issue with the date column. Okay, there is an issue with the date column in the fact shipment. And if you see fuel charges, what is this fuel charges? Same thing over here. Okay, the detail value is 2024 0 to 30 is not able to convert into the date format. So that is the issue that we got. Now let us go. So if you get a question in the interview, what are all the troubleshooting things? What are all the errors that you got when you have dealt with the data flow, Gen 1 or Gen 2, or with the data sets? So whatever the issue that we have seen, you need to explain the same thing in the interview. So let me go to the, what is that fuel surcharges? Okay, there is an error. Let us see, did we not identify that error? After, did we not append the data? Yes, we appended the data. Okay, let me go and check it before the appended query. So let me go to the, yeah. Yes, we did that, appended before that. Okay, do we still have the data? Appended, renamed, replaced values. Okay. We replaced this with, okay, let me scroll down. What is the error? Let me check. Yeah, here if you see, yes. What is this error? Effective to 2024 0 to 30. And what is the error that we got? The same thing 2024 0 to 30. Oh, you see, beautiful. Same error 2024 0 to 30 is 2024 0 to 30. So what it is saying? So it is saying that we could not parse the input provided as a date format. Okay, there is an issue with the date format. So it is saying, can you please replace this? Okay, so what do I do? Let me right click and replace values. So let me click on the insert. So what do I need to do? 2802 2024. And let me click on OK. Okay, now we got it. Okay, what is the next step? Change the type to the local. And let me go for renaming the column. So this is the first error. The first error, we resolved it. Okay, so in the interview also, you need to explain the same thing. Okay, there was an issue with the date format. So the date format wasn't right for a single column, single row. So that is the reason we replaced. Okay, I replaced the date format. So what is that issue? In the next one also, we got the same thing. So here also we got the same thing. In the fact table, could not refresh the entity because of an issue date format, data format error replacing the table's content. Parse the input provided. What is that? Let me click on 2021 2102 2025 2102 2025. So there is an issue. Shipment date 2102. Let me, okay. So if you want to see the error, how can we see the error? So we have an option called as, let me right click. We have an option called as keep errors. Do we have that option? Keep errors. We should be having that. So the column name is not mentioned over here. Okay, the column name not mentioned. Okay, we can do one thing. So let me directly take this. Okay. We can also search this. Okay, right click, or we can do one thing. So click on expand this date filter. So we can go for write is in or is in the next previous. Okay, in. Let me go for writing in. Enter the value. So let me go for is in. Okay, let me go for writing equal to. So let me go for 20. Okay, let me go for selecting 25, 21 January, February 21. Let me click on OK. Yes, this is the same error. Okay, this is the same error that we got. So what do we need to do at this? Okay, I think we have an issue with the shipment date only. Okay, so we would have an option called as keep error actually. Keep rows. Keep errors. Yes, we have an option called as keep errors. In the home reduce rows, we have an option called as keep errors. Let me click on OK. So let's see whether we have the error in this or not. Yes, now you see we have got many errors, lot of errors, lot of errors. Okay, we have the error in the shipment date, estimated date, actual delivery date. Okay, when we are trying to convert the dates, okay, mostly when we tried converting the dates, okay, in the change type, we actually change this into the dates. Okay, renamed columns. So we tried converting it into the dates. So what do we do now? Let me remove this change type. Okay. So now let me remove this last two steps. Okay. Now let me click on save, run and close. Okay. Now let us go here. Click on this. Now it is running. Okay. It is running. So let's see how can we, whether let's see whether it succeed or not. This time we have troubleshooted the data. So in the interview also you can explain the same thing. That was in the date and time format. It was not handled in the Power Query editor or in the Dataflow. It is handled in the Power BI report. Okay. So you can explain that. Whatever the troubleshooting methods that we did, you can explain the same thing in the interview. So the refresh started at 8:25:42 seconds. So we can go here, click on the settings, click on the three dots for more options. We have an option called as schedule. We also have the check run. So let's see how long it has been running. Now you see it is succeeded. Wonderful. Okay, it is succeeded. You can download the refresh history and you can see what are all the information that we have over here. Okay. I think this is the older one. Yeah, this is the newer one. Yeah. Now you see succeed, succeed, succeed. All the tables are being succeeded. Okay. So what we can do here, every day we want to schedule the refresh. So in the document, in the project document, they mentioned that they want to have the schedule refresh. Okay. Every day in the morning, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, it should be refreshed every day. Let me click on add schedule. Okay. So what are all the options available for this data flow? We can schedule the refresh. How do we want to repeat this? Every hour, daily, weekly, monthly. Okay. So what is the interval? Every minute, every 15 minutes or every minute we can have this. What is the start date and time? What is the end date and time? What is the time zone? So this is the Indian time zone plus UTC plus 5:30. So let me go for every day. Every day we want to schedule the refresh. Okay. So let me schedule the refresh every day in the morning, 8 o'clock. Why 8 o'clock? So 8 o'clock because morning 9 o'clock someone logs in, they will get the updated data. Okay. Now let me click on save. So what is the start date? Let me remove. Let me do not have the this much of start date. Let me only go for 26 by the end of this month. That's it. From 22nd July till 31st July. That's it. Okay. What do you see? Time of the day, last successful updated time. What is the next update? Okay. It is turned on. I can also click on edit. So for now, let me go for not. Let us go for 707 7:15. Okay, let us go for 7:15. Why 7:15 or 7 o'clock? When we log in tomorrow, we will see whether it is updated or not. So this is how we schedule the refresh of the data flow, and this is how we troubleshoot the data flow. So real time. Okay, in the organization also, this is how we troubleshoot whenever we get the errors. So previous session we got issues. I mean, yes, in the real time we get these kind of issues. So it wouldn't be like that we are going to, I mean, in the organization, it is like, it wouldn't be like we are going to complete the project in 1 week or 10 days. So we take longer than usual. So probably like we work on a single project. If you take the BI developer's role or the project, data analyst project or BI developer project, reporting project. So it would probably take 6 months minimum, 6 months to 1 year. So if it is a smaller project, so it can get signed off within three months or 4 months. But if it is a longer project, bigger project, so it can go at least for more than 3 months. I mean, more than 3 months, more than 6 months, and more than 9 months. So it can go like that. Yes, in every organization, we have something called as a sprint, agile methodologies, and Azure DevOps. Where every day they are going to have, we are going to have the stand-up calls, and we will discuss about the progress of the project. And monthly or quarterly, we would have, I mean, so we would have monthly meetings with the client or anybody, business owners or the stakeholders. So we present whatever we did till now, till the end of the month. And if you have any changes, if the client requires any changes, he would explain or he would share the mail to us stating that these are all the changes that we need to implement. That's how it goes in the real time environment. So that's how we communicate with the clients or with the stakeholders or the business owners. So, I mean, the business owner doesn't know what technologies are we implementing, what kind of procedures are we implementing, what kind of a code are we implementing. But the thing is that he or she wants to see the output or whatever the project deliverables. So this is what goes in the real time. Yes, we have seen, I mean, in general, we see that everything goes well, but in the previous session, it wasn't going well. So what was the reason after the session? I have looked into this. The main reason is shipments 2025, 2026, where they have something like what is that? Shipment date. Yeah. So the shipment date is the main thing. So where the shipment date, I tried to extract the date from the shipment dates. So that is the main reason. Before appending the data into the fact shipments, so the 2025, the latest data doesn't have the correct date format. So it was informed the same thing. So it is also informed in the document, I think. I think we open the document. Okay, let me open the document. So if you see here, we have the same thing they have informed in here. Yeah, if you see here, so shipments 2025-2026 carrier fuel rate mixed date format. So that this has the mixed date format. Okay, so it's a combination of year, month, day, and also day, month, year. So in the interview, if you get a question, what are the issues that you faced while working on the project? So you can inform that the latest file of the shipments 2025-2026 has the mixed date format. So that was the one issue where the data type has been when I tried fixing the data type, so it got error. So when I looked into the error, so there is a combination of uh, the date format. Then I extracted the date, year, month. So what we implemented actually. Okay, I mean there are multiple ways of working on the project, but what we implemented is like, so we implemented, so we have extracted from the date, shipment date. Okay, from the shipment date individually we extracted the year from the shipment date, month from the shipment date, and also the day from the shipment date. Okay, the day from the shipment dates. After that, what we did, we merged it. Okay, so we combined these together. Okay, we combined these together. Let me click on the setting. Okay, what we did, so we took the date, month, and the day. Okay, we merged it together. Then we got the actual date. Okay, in the interview, if we get a question, how did you resolve this issue? If there is a mixed combination of the dates in the column, so when we tried turning that, I'm sorry. So when we tried turning that into the, so what we did, what we applied, we actually applied, we made that date format into the, we made this date format into the local actually. So it is in the text data type. When we try changing it into the date data type, yes, it is working fine when we have the dates in the correct format. But when the date starting from the year, month, day, then there is a problem. So it is not able to convert that day, that format of date into actual date format. Okay. So we also tried making this into using local. What is that local? So we tried changing that into the UK date format. What is that UK date format? What is the difference between US and UK date format? So UK date format and Indian date format are similar, day, month, year. So that is the thing. When we go for US date format, so it is month, day, year. So that is the format of the date. So we have the date in the actual general format, day, month, year. But few of them are like year, month, day. Okay, it started with the year. So what the solution that we implemented is like, by using the transform, okay, we have an option called as go to add column. We have an option called as, so okay, now you see, we are not able to parse, we are not able to extract the day, the year, month, quarter from this shipment dates. So in the data flow in the Power Query editor, without writing any code, without writing any query, we can extract by clicking on the options, we can extract day, month, year from the date format if there is a combination of date and time. So but this is in the text format. So that is the reason we are not able to extract year, month, quarter. So what we did, what we implemented is like column from example, from the selection, we have extracted 2025. We extracted 04. I mean, this can also be extracted in another format. Okay, you see, we have an option called as extract. So what we can do, we can extract text before delimiter, text after delimiter, text between delimiters. Okay, we can also extract these three. Or we can also do something like split the column by delimiter. You see, split the column by delimiter. So we can also click on split the column by delimiter so that everything will be splitted down. 04. So if you take this 06 in one column, 04 in second column, 2025 in third column, 621 time is in another column. Or if we go for taking the split the column by delimiter hyphen, so it will be splitted down. So that is the main thing that we have. Okay. So at the end, so once it is splitted down, we combined them together. Okay, we combined them together by using column from example. Okay, column from the selection. We have selected three columns and clicked on column from selection, and we made it into this format. Okay, whatever the steps that we applied, this is called as, in general terminology, this is the real transformation of the data. Okay, so you heard in the data analysis or in the BI, business intelligence terminology, or in the ETL, extraction, transformation, and loading of the data. So whatever the transformation term that you heard, I mean, transformation, you see that data cleaning, data manipulation, data changes, massaging the data. You hear these kind of words in the YouTube channel. Okay, so this is the actual transformation of the data. We extracted year, month, day, then we combined it together. How did we combine this together? We have an option called as merge the columns. Actually, in the transform, we would have an option called as merging format. No, I think this would be in here only. Okay, it is disabled actually. Okay, we need to select more than one column so that you see merge columns. Let me also click on this merge columns. When I click on merge column and click on insert, I can give the separator. How do you want to merge this? Do you want to merge column, semicolon? You can also put the custom, and you can also go for giving the backslash, or I mean, how do we separate the day, month, year? Okay, what is that? Backslash or forward slash. Okay, this is how we have merged it together. Then we got the data. Okay, so after that, we removed the actual date. So what is that? Shipment date, whatever the column that is existing in here, we removed it. Then it is being appended over here into the shipments. Then at the end, we clicked on the new setting option. And the next one is end destination file. Where do we want to store this? Next, click on next. And again, here in the destination, we have three options. How do we want to store the data? You see, there are three options: new table, existing table, new file. How do you want to store the data? Existing table, we need to select which table we want to have it. Okay, which table do we want to have it? So this is how we did that. Yes. After that, what is the next step that we need to go? So we need to go for the data modeling. I mean, building the semantic model. So let me go for the semantic model. Yes, now we are in the semantic model. Okay. Or do we have all the tables? Yes, we do have the all tables. So how do we get into this here? So go to the Lakehouse. So we have an option called as new semantic model. Click on this new semantic model. So we get the schema plus whatever the tables existing under the schema. So we need to give the name of the schema. And you see logistics, we need to select the tables that are required for the reporting. Okay. So let me go to this and let me put something like shipment freight. Okay, let me make it shipment should be at the center. And what do we want to make? So shipment, the fact table is surrounded by the dimension table. Let me put it over something like this. So let me bring it down. Let me minimize this. Let me decrease the size a little bit. Now, if you see, what do we have over here? So we have fact table. And if I hover over it, you would find out what is the name of the table, what is the source schema, logistics, what is the storage mode. There are again three kinds of storage modes, connectivity modes: import, direct query, and live connection. So we, in the direct connection, we are connecting to the Lakehouse. Okay, what is the server name? What is the workspace name? Data refreshed. Okay, so what do we need to do now? So what is the next step? Okay, so the next step is we need to make the relation between the tables. Okay, how do we make the relation between the tables? Is like, so drag and drop, or what we can do, we have an option called as manage relationship. So click on this option and we get into the relationship tab. Click on new relationship. So from table should always be the fact table. To table, we can go for the dimension table. Now you see, based on the carrier ID based on the column names, it automatically identified this is the foreign key and this is the primary key in between the freet and carrier underscore SL. Let me click on save this. Okay. So now if you see what is the relation, the cardinality is, okay, there are again two things while we make the relation between the tables. The first thing is that cardinality. So what is the type of relationship? Is it many to many, many to one to many, and one to one relationship? Cross filter direction. How do we want to make the data? How do we want to filter the data? Okay, how do we want to filter the data? So do we want to filter the data? The dimension table should filter the fact table, or fact table should filter the dimension table. Okay, that is the main thing. So in general, what is the general practice is that we go for single direction. The direction should be like dimension table, whatever the columns that we have in the dimension data, in the dimension table, these attributes or the columns should filter the data in the fact table. So that is the thumb rule of the data modeling part. And what is the next step? Carrier ID. I can drag and drop the carrier ID in the dim carrier. Okay, let me click on save this. Yes. And the next one is, what is that dim customer? Do we have the customer ID? Yes, we do have the customer ID. Customer ID and drag and drop onto the customer ID in the customers table. Yes. The next step is the lane mapping. What do we have in the lane mapping? Lane ID. Do we have the lane ID? Let me check. We have the route ID. Do we have the route ID? Yes, we do have the route ID. Let me drag and drop the route ID. So what we did in order to make the consistency in the relationship, so we have added the lane data into the route data. Okay, we have joined these two and we disabled the load of the lane table, and we are directly making the relation between the fact freet and lane mapping. The next one is fuel charges. Okay, fuel surcharges. So what is the column that we have? Period month. Let me come down. Where is the period month? Let me check whether do we have the period month. Yes, we do have the period month, and make it the relation between the period month. And let me click on save this. Yes, we got the period month. And how does the relation or the data filtration works? Okay, how does the data filtration works? If you see here, so we have the limited data in the dimension table. Okay, maybe if you take the carrier, there can be the 20 records. If you take the dimension customer, there can be the 200 or 2000 customers. If you take the SLS, we can have 100 or 200 data. Fuel charges, yes, it can have 24 or if we are taking from 23 to 26, probably like 30 months, 30 to 40 months of data. Okay, 30 to 40 months of data, because 12, 12, 24, 24, 12, 36, 36 plus maybe we are in July. Okay, 40 or 42. Okay, 42 months of data. It can be 42 records. Lane mapping, yes, we can have the 50 records. Okay, and if you observe, there is no relation between the dim carrier and the dim customer. There is no relation between the dim customer and dim carrier SLA. There is no relation between these two tables, There is nothing. Okay, this relationship. So how does the relationship work? Okay, if we filter, if we want to see what is the, which carrier is affecting, okay, which carrier is affecting, or what is the relation between the customer and SLS. Okay, what is the relation between the lane mapping and carrier SLA? Okay, these all dimension tables are being filtered based on the fact table. Okay, based on the fact table. How? Fact table contains all the foreign keys of the carrier, customers, carrier underscore SLA, mapping, and the fuel surcharges. So based, when we filter any state or any region, automatically based on the foreign keys, Okay, and this free table would be filtered out, and based on the free table, okay, based on this free table, whatever the foreign keys, for example, the thousand records are being filtered out, and based on the 1,000 records, whatever the existing matching foreign keys are there, this matching, it is going to filter the carrier, it is going to filter the customer, it is going to filter the carrier underscore SLA, it is going to filter the fuel charges, it is going to filter the lane mapping. I mean, based on the matching foreign keys, we are going to get the filtration of the dimension table. Okay, the main thing is that we would make the relation between, always the rule of thumb to remember, when you go for making the relation between the tables, data modeling the tables, always remember to have the many to one relationship. Keep it in your mind, and single direction. Okay, single direction. Cross filter direction should be single, and the cardinality should be many to one relationship. So this is how the data modeling works. Okay, we made the relation between the tables. Okay, yes, this is wonderful. The relationship is made. Okay, so the first step of semantic model is completed. Okay, semantic model. What is a semantic model? Semantic model is the metadata of the business. Okay, what does it contain? It contains the data modeling, the first step. The second step is calculations, transformations. Second step is transformation, and the third step is implementing the calculations. Okay, so let me expand the freight fact shipments free. Okay, so what do we want to implement? So let me go to the, so what did we do? We made changes, and also here if you see we ignored it, but there is no need of this. Okay, and the next one is we updated the carrier mapping, and we have, there is an overlapping of shipment IDs. So yes, we can remove that. Okay, we need to remove the duplicates. And if you see, what is that? Shipment in transit lost, cancelled. Next one is geographic mismatch, customer routes, broken map, visuals. We need to see once we implement the visualization. Okay. So how, what is the solution? Yes, we implemented the star schema. Okay. This is like a star schema. What is a star schema? Fact table is surrounded by the dimension table, and they are connected via primary keys and foreign keys. Okay. So that is fact table. That is a star schema. So these are all the KPIs that we need to implement: year-on-year growth, shipment, what is the revenue at risk, okay, total freight revenue. So what is that on-time delivery? What is the average delay days, delivery success rate, loss return, return rate? So these are all the things that we need to implement now. So how do we do that? So we can do that by clicking on File, Create a new report. Okay, before directly we jump into create a new report. So what is the next step is implementing the calculations. Okay, implementing the calculations. The first and foremost calculation that we need to implement is like total revenue. Okay, what is that? Total revenue. So how do we implement the calculation? Right click, we have an option called as new measure. So in the Power BI, what do? We have a concept called as calculated column and calculated measures. Okay, so what is the usage of these measures? So measures are like aggregation of the data. Okay, so it is reusable in other calculations also. So that is the reason what do? We create a explicit measures. The one which you see with the summation symbol is called as a the implicit measures. The one which we are creating is called as a explicit measures. So what do? I will go for total revenue equal to. So what is the main thing? We can directly go for calculate. We can directly go for what is that? Sum of free revenue. Okay, I can directly go for sum of free revenue and close the bracket and click on enter. But the thing is that what is the thing is that we have shipments cancelled. For the shipment cancelled, we cannot calculate the free revenue. That would be problem. And we also have an option. We also have another column, another attribute called as a is void. So what do we need to do? We need to exclude that. I think we already have it in the documentation, I think. So what is that? We have something called as, okay, we do not have it over here. But what we can do, we can go for, let me click on total revenue. So how do we calculate that? Okay, how do we calculate that? So we have a function called as a calculate function. So calculate takes expression comma filter functions. Okay, what is the expression? Expression should always be a measure. I mean, the new number data type. Okay, so let me go for comma. So what we are trying to do in the filter condition, we can put the filter condition. What is that? Is underscore void. Okay, so free it comma free is underscore void. Okay, so equal to only consider n. Only consider n, comma. The next thing is that shipment status should not be, okay, shipment status should not be not equal to, okay, cancelled. Shipment status should not be the cancelled. So this is the actual total revenue of the Opex logistics. Okay, this is the actual revenue of the total revenue of the Opex logistics. Okay, the first calculation, yes, we did that. Okay, the first calculation is the total revenue. Yes, we did that. What is the next calculation? Okay, the next calculation is total shipments. Okay, right click, new measure. Okay, total shipments. So we need to know how many shipments are there. Okay, so what is that? We have a function called as count rows. Okay, we also see the same thing in the SQL also. Okay, SQL also we see the count function, count star function, which is used to calculate the complete records in the table. And also if you mention any in the count function, if you mention any column, we also get the number of records for that particular column. So what is that? It takes the table and let me click on OK. So it gives the number of records, number of shipments. Okay. So let me click on file, create a new report. And when I go here, we would see whether we have total revenue and total shipments are there in here. Okay, let me click on this. I cannot edit this. In the reporting, we will not be have the capabilities of editing the measures and calculations. So let me go to the model, semantic model again. So what is the next calculation? Okay, what is the next calculation? The next calculation is valid shipments. Okay, how many of them are valid shipments? Right click, new measure. Okay, valid shipments. Valid shipments. What is that valid shipments? For example, we ordered the products from the e-commerce website, and that e-commerce company that they want to calculate the valid shipments. I mean, the product is ordered and delivered. Simple thing. What is the simple logic? Whichever the products are delivered, then that is a valid shipment. Whichever the products are returned, they go for root cause analysis. Why did they return? I mean, when you go for returning or exchanging the product, they would ask you the question, okay, why do you want to return the product? So you say that the cloth, okay, the cloth is not good, or the size doesn't fit, the color doesn't suit. Okay, so I would like to go for, so we would give some comments and we would return that. Okay, so they are going to do the root cause. They get a table stating that, okay, this product is being returned by these customer and the reason is the size doesn't fit, and they get back to the whoever they got, what is that, agreed, who are all the clients, I mean vendors. Okay, they get in touch with the vendors and they say that, okay, your product which shown in the photo display in the application doesn't look the same as it is delivered. Okay, so they go for questioning the vendor. Okay, you need to go for the same quality, the same texture, the same color of the product that is being shown in the display should be delivered to the customer. So that is how they go for root cause analysis. So what is the valid shipments? So the valid shipment is like simple, straightforward. Okay, we need to go for is void equal to n and should not be cancelled. Okay, here we have an option called as cancelled orders. So we should not include valid. If we want to calculate the valid, we should not include the cancelled orders. Okay, so what do we do? Calculate. So previous one, count rows. Okay, so let me go for the table name, close the bracket. So if you want to get into the next cell, Okay, shift enter to get into the next row of the cell. So is void equal to, okay, it's double quotes. In the SQL, it is single quote. Okay, comma. The next thing is that shipment status is not equal to cancelled. Let me click on enter. So we just created this. Let me go to the report. Okay, whether we get this or not. Okay, let me expand this. Okay, now you see value shipments. So you see instantaneously whatever the measures that we are creating in the semantic model is reflected in the report. Okay, that's the beauty. You see, that's the beauty in the cloud. So what is the next calculation? Okay, what is the next calculation? The next calculation is revenue at risk. Okay, revenue at risk. What is revenue at risk? Okay, so if you see, if you have, we have seen that there are multiple shipment status. What are all the shipment status that we have? The shipment status, we have something called as, so if you want to comment this, you can use the hyphen, I think. Okay, so hash in the SQL, I think it is not the hyphen, yeah, backward slashes. Okay, so if we want to comment anything, we can do something like this. We have something called as the shipment status. Okay, shipment status equal to, I mean, we have something like delivered, delayed, cancelled, and what do we say? We have something called as return, and we also have in transit. In transit. So what do we need to do? What do we need to calculate is revenue at risk. Revenue at risk. What is that revenue at risk? The same example. Okay, we ordered the product in the e-commerce website, which cost around 20,000 rupees. We would like to buy one TV, okay, or AC refrigerator. And what we did, we paid the amount, and after using it for a week, so we got one issue with that. So what do? We return. Okay, it's only 20,000 from single customer. Okay, but throughout the world or throughout India, throughout a city, okay, there would be like many customers. So if they calculate like that 20,000, okay, all grouped them together, then that revenue is at risk. Okay, they can't, I mean, they paid amount and they return amount, so like that it is going like that. So this here we include the lost and delayed. Okay, from shipping, for example, we see that the tanker, milk tanker, recently in the national highway, it got it met with an accident. It just fell down and all the 10,000 liters of milk are being gone. So 10,000 liters, they if they multiply with at least some amount, okay, that is the revenue at risk, that is being lost. Or a truck which is carrying the cars, for example, okay, so which is carrying the cars, okay, the brand new cars, and it got hit to another car or another vehicle, then that would be a revenue at risk. So what is the revenue at risk? We can take the calculate sum of free revenue, or we already have, okay, there is no need of multiple usage of the same sum of total revenue. So here what we can do, we can directly take the total revenue measure that we already created. Okay, so what do we do here? So we would like to take the shipment status which is equal to lost and delayed. Okay, it is delayed. For example, we got the product which is being delayed for many days. What do? We get frustrated and we cancel that product. We do not want to receive, even though we are in home. We say to the delivery partner, no, I'm not available at home, because it is being delayed from the past 10 days or 20 days. So what do? We, if we want to consider the same thing, okay, in the PySpark, what do we have? We have something like shipment. We have something like is in. If you want to consider multiple items to be filtered, so what did we use? We used is in. So here what do we have? Shipment status. We have in operator. Okay, so what do? In there, we used just normal bracket. In SQL, we use normal bracket, but in Power BI, what do? We use flower bracket. Okay, what do we write? We write lost, comma, delayed, delayed. Close the flower bracket, comma. Okay, let me come down. to the next cell, and the same thing is void equal to n. Okay, let me click on enter. So whatever the shipment status falls into the lost and delayed are the revenue at risk. Probably it can lose $50 million or $1,000, whatever the amount they go for. Okay, for that $50 million or whatever the amount they go for root cause analysis. Why? So this is revenue at risk. The next thing is that the next calculation is the same thing. We go for taking the same thing. So based on the loss rate percentage. Okay, how many shipments are being lost based on the total shipments. Okay, so what is that lost rate percentage? Right click, new measure. Okay, so let me go for loss rate percentage equal to. Okay, so what do we need to do? The first and foremost thing is that we need to calculate the last shipments. What is the last shipment? Simple, straightforward. If you want to calculate the last shipment, we already calculated the count rows of the last shipment. We can go for taking the calculate. Okay, so what is that? Already we calculated. Let me take that total shipments, comma. So what do we do here? Shipment status equal to lost. Okay, so what do we do now? So if we go for closing the bracket, so we get the last shipments number. Okay, last shipments number. But here what do we need to do? We need to calculate the percentage. Okay, so what do? We go for taking this. So before the calculate, let me put the divide function. Okay, so this is the numerator. Divide takes three parameters. What is that? The first one is numerator. Okay, this is the numerator. Close the bracket. Oh, sorry. Give the comma. Now you see denominator. What is the denominator? Total shipments. Total shipments is the denominator. And what do we do now? The alternate value that we want to take, we can go for taking the 0. What is this alternate value? For example, numerator is 0 and denominator has the value. So what do we get? We get 0 divided by number error. Okay, or denominator is 0, we get infinity. In order to overcome these two issues, so we go with divide function. So whichever the numerator or denominator, either of them are 0, then we get the alternate value as a 0. So let me click on enter. So this is the loss rate percentage. But here we got one issue. Okay, so we want to calculate the revenue, total revenue previous year and year-on-year growth. Okay, total revenue previous year. What is that? So this is the revenue. This is for the complete 2023, 24, 25, 26 revenue. But if I click on 2024, I want to see the 2023 revenue. So how do we do that? Okay, in order to do that, what do we need to have is like date column. Okay, date table. Okay, we need to have the date table. Let me check if we can create a new table over here. Okay, we have an option called as new table. Let me click on this. Okay, so what do we need to create? Dimension date. Okay, dim date table. Why do we need to have the date table in general? Because in the shipments table, in any fact table that you take or in any other dimension table that you take, they do not have the date related columns. Why date related? What is the date related data? The date related data can be, the date related data can be like, okay, so for example, we have something called as a year, month, quarter, day. Okay, these are all the primary things in calculation of the time level analysis, day level analysis, date level analysis. We want to calculate the previous year, quarter, previous month, previous day sales. We would like to compare the sales growth, year on year growth, month on month growth. So in order to calculate that, or I want to see the shipment, the date, we have the shipments date, but we want to see the data by the quarterly. But how do we do that? Okay, how do we do that? Yes, you thought of getting that. Okay, in the Opex data flow, what we can do, we can extract the year, quarter, month, day from the shipments. Okay, you got a solution. That why can't we extract from the shipments? Why can't we extract the year, quarter, month, day from the shipments table? Okay, from the fact shipments table. The only reason is that now we are dealing with thousands of records, 5,600 or 6,000 records. For example, we have a data of 1 million records. Okay, simple, straightforward. Understand logic. Why do we create a dimension table, dimension date table? The same thing where we discussed in the normalization, or why the tables are being divided into fact and dimension table. Here also the same concept works. For example, I am trying to create a column called as the year, quarter, month, day. 4 columns are there, and we have a 1 million records. So probably like 1 million multiplied by 4 columns, it can become 40 million records. So why do we need to have the 40 million records? It can become loading onto the table. So in order to, it is good, but when we try to click on save and run, it takes a lot of time to load the data. And when we try to take the data, this data flow into Power BI as a data flow as the source. Okay, when we try to load the data in the import mode, again it takes a lot of time to load the data. Okay, in order to overcome that, we have an option called as creating another dimension table. By making a relationship, we can get the column from other dimension tables into the fact table. There will not be any effect on the loading, execution, and on the RAM processor of the Power BI. Okay, so what do we do now? We need to extract, we need to create a column, we need to create a dimension table. Simple, straightforward. So there are multiple ways of creating the tables, creating the data dimension table. So we have a function called as calendar function. So we can enter the start date and end date. What can be the start date? I can go for the date function. I can enter 2023, month is 01, day is 01. And what is the end date? We have another function called as a today function, which takes the today's date. So today's date. So in the SQL, we have a function called as get date. In the PySpark, we have a function called as current date, I think, current timestamp, I think. Okay. So like that, we have today in the Power BI. But this is not a recommended, I mean, after creating this, we need to go here again and we need to extract year, quarter, month again and again. In order to, so we can go for creating it in another way. We have an option called as add column. Okay, here in the add column, we can create a table. So what do? We go for the same thing called as a calendar. In the calendar, we can go for giving the date. What is the year? 2023. The data is starting from 2023. 0101 is the month and day, comma, end date. I can give end date as, so I can go for giving 2026. The month is 12, day is 31st December, close the bracket. So we gave the end date, comma, shift enter for the next line. So what do we need to do here? So we would like to extract, okay, we would like to extract year, quarter, month. How do we do? So in the name, we can give the year. You see the next step is expression. In the expression, what we can do, we can go for year and we can go for giving the date. Okay, we can go for giving the date. Again, comma, shift, enter, next line. What is the next thing? Month number. Month number. So what is that month number? So 1 to 12 is the month numbers. So let me go for month. Okay, so we can give the date. We can give the date. Okay, close the bracket. Now click on enter. So what is the next thing? Month. Okay, we would like to see the month name. Okay, how do we see the month name? So we can see the month name by, we have a function called as a format function. I can go for giving the date, comma. So what is the format that we want to see? So let me go for month hyphen year. So we get month. The combination of month year. Okay, comma. So the next thing is that month key. So the way we created period month, here also we would create format function based on the date, comma. We can create what is the format? Year, month format. Close the bracket. The next thing is that we need to create the quarter. Okay, comma. So give the q. So we get the number q1, q2, q3, q4. Okay, q is the one, and we can go for quarter. We can extract quarter. These are all the direct straightforward function. Okay, so we can go for date. Close the bracket. Now, what is the next thing? If you want to go for weekday, okay, these are all enough. But if you want to see the weekday, we can also see it the weekday by the format function. We can enter date, comma, ddd. Okay, these are all the standard formats that we have. Okay, so we created, okay, let me close the bracket. Yes. Okay, now we can extract, so we can make the relation between these two tables and we can have the dimension date for further calculations. Okay, when we apply certain calculations, time dimension calculations like date add, date difference, or parallel period functions in Power BI, we should have the complete dates table. What is the next step? The next step is, okay, where is the dimension? Okay, let me push it down. Okay, let me scroll down. Now you see we have dim date. What do we do now? So let me come down. We have an option called as shipment date. Scroll, drag and drop it on the date. Okay, let me click on OK. Okay, so we got many to one relationship and now we got the relationship made. What is the next step? Yes, we made the date. What is the next step? The next step is creating the revenue, previous year revenue. So how do we create a previous year revenue? So right click on the, new measure. So here we go for revenue, okay, PY. So what is that PY? In the technical terminology, in the finance terminology, it is a prior year. Prior year means previous year. CY, current year. NY, next year. Okay, these are all short terms. Okay, what we can do if we want to calculate the previous year's sales, revenue, or anything. So we have a function called as calculate function. It takes the expression. What is that we need to give in the expression? Total revenue, comma. In the filter function, we have a function called as date add function. Date add function is the function which is used to shift the dates forward or backward based on the number of intervals and intervals. Okay, what is the date? We need to take the date column. Okay, from the dim date, we need to take the dim date, comma. What is the number of intervals that we want to shift? Number of interval is like a number. -1 represents previous year. In the interval, if we give month, quarter, year, which is previous year, previous month, previous quarter. Okay, so let me go for -1. And what is the interval that we are going to give? So let us go for year. Close the bracket, click on enter. Yes, we created revenue previous year. The next calculation is revenue year on year growth. Okay, the next calculation is revenue year on year growth. Right click. Let me go for new measure. Okay, so here what do? Let us go for writing revenue. Okay, year on year percentage. Year on year percentage. What is that year on year percentage? In the year 2024, the sales are $1 million. What was the sales in the 2023? Is it 0.8 million? Then what is the growth? So there is a growth of 0.2 million. So if we 0.2 million is in the value, but what is the percentage growth? Is it 20%, 10%, 15%? Okay, what is that? Let me go for creating a variable. So we know that variables are like, okay, so in our schooling days, these variables are, we use it in the Python, we use it in the SQL. Okay, x equal to 10. Okay, what does it mean? X is the variable holding value 10. Okay, here also we create a variable var. Okay, what is that? Py means previous year. Okay, so we go for, we already created a revenue py. Shift enter, return. Okay, return. We can write a function, logical functioning. Okay, what is that? We can go for not blank. If it is not blank, if it is not blank, so what do we do in the, okay, py? If the py is not blank, okay, and py is, okay, so we can directly go for writing py not equal to 0, comma, then what is the result? Okay, then what is the result? So it is not is blank. Okay, so return, so simple straightforward divide. Okay, total revenue, total revenue minus previous year py divided by previous year, previous year. Click on enter. Okay, you got a question. You got a question. What is the year on year growth? You go and search. Okay, year on year growth formula. Simple, straightforward. What is this year on year growth? Current period value minus prior year value, prior period value, which is current period total revenue minus previous year, okay, divided by previous year revenue multiplied by 100. Okay, this is the year on year growth percentage. What is that? Current year minus previous year divided by previous year. We are also doing the same thing. This is the current year, total revenue is the current year. We can directly implement, actually we can directly implement the current year, total revenue minus revenue py divided by revenue py. But the thing is that when the revenue py becomes blank and revenue py becomes 0, then we would get infinity or 0 divided by error. In order to overcome that, we are writing this condition. Okay, if the previous year, if the revenue prior year is not blank and revenue prior year is not equal to 0, okay, it is excluding the blank, it is excluding the 0, then divide this. Actually the formula is this only, total revenue minus prior year revenue divided by prior year multiplied by 100. But in order to exclude the blanks and zeros, we are calculating like this. So this is the year on year growth. Okay, this is the year on year growth. So let me click on the untitled report. Okay, untitled report. So what do I do? Let me click on save as. Okay, let me click on save as. What do I do? The name of the report is Opex logistics. Logistics. We can give the name like shipments and carrier dashboard. Carrier dashboard. Or we can also go by the documentation. Do we have anything over here in the documentation? The name, freight. Okay, we can also go for freight and shipment logistics. I mean, we can give the name, but for now, let me go for carrier dashboard, carrier performance dashboard. So in the interview, if you get a question like which project that you worked on, so you can say that shipments and carrier performance dashboard, I worked on this project. So let me click on edit. Okay. So what is the first and foremost thing that we need to do? Okay. Let me name this as overview. Let me name this as overview. So what is the thing that we need to do here is we need to present this. Okay. Whenever someone comes into this page, the client should easily understand what is going on with the data, the summarization of the data. Why we have come up with the charts and all? So we have a quotation, picture speaks more than 1,000 words. So what is the usage of 1 million records that he can scroll down and down and down and see what is the value that is existing in the shipments. So if we show the same thing in the visual, so he can easily understand. Okay. So let me go for taking the slicer. Okay, let me go for taking the slicer. Okay, slicers are useful when we need to implement what is that slice the data, filter the data. Okay, let me add here into this. Okay, you see we got something like 2023. Go to the format your visual, slicer setting, not in between. Let me go for the drop down. So we get everything in the drop down. Okay, we get everything in the drop down. So let me go here. Okay, let me Control C, Control V. Okay, let me give the visual border so that it would be separated. So let me enable the visual border and let me give some other color. Yes, it is getting separated. Okay, let me delete this. So Control C and Control V. Here, let me add transport mode. Transport mode from the carrier. Let me scroll. Yes, yes, we are getting air, road, railway. Let me go for taking copy, Control C, Control V. Okay. So in the next one, we can write free to type. So let me type. Okay. Let me go for adding the free to type. Okay. The next one, we can go for taking the region. From the lane mapping, let me go for taking the region. So we also need to have another one, another slicer. Let me decrease the size of the year. Let me move this a little bit. Transport mode. Let me go for taking this free type region and Control C and Control V. The next one is acquired by. So who is acquired? Okay. Yes, the slicers are done. Okay. What is the next step? The next step is the KPIs, key performance indicators. Okay. We need to show the key performance indicators. So let me remove this. So let me try taking this. Okay, I'm not able to copy the data. Let me remove this. Okay. So the next calculation is on-time deliveries. So right click, create a new measure. So what is that? On-time deliveries. The name itself says that. So the deliveries, whether they are on time or not. So what are all included when we go for on time? So there are two things that we can include. The first thing is that the status should be delivered. The status should be delivered. And the second thing, the second concept we need to put it in our mind, on time. On time means it should be on or before the date. Okay, on or before the date. So we can go for actual delivery. Okay, less than or equal to. Okay, it can be before the estimated delivery or on the same day of the estimated delivery. Okay, these two filters that we need to keep in our mind. So what do we need to do? Calculate. So here we are discussing about the total shipments, comma. So what is the filter that we need to give? So the filter is like shipment status. Okay, shipment status equal to delivered. Shipment status equal to delivered, comma. So what do we need to take here? The next concept is like we need to calculate. Again, we need to go for the actual delivery less than or equal to estimated delivery. So let me go for taking not is blank, not is blank. So we are considering the actual delivery date should not be blank. Okay, actual delivery date should not be blank. This is the second filter condition. And the next one again, okay, next one filter. Filter takes two parameters, that is table, comma filter expression. What is the table name? This is the table name. And the next thing is that, okay, what we can do here, actual delivery less than or equal to estimated delivery. That's it. Let me click on it. Okay. So let me close the bracket. Yes. Now you see on-time deliveries have been calculated. Okay. On-time deliveries have been calculated. The next calculation is, okay, the next calculation is delivered shipments. Okay. Right click, new measure. Delivered shipments are like so simple, straightforward. Okay. Delivered shipments equal to, so simple, straightforward, calculate total shipments, comma, status equal to, status equal to delivered, status equal to delivered. That's it. Now what we can do here is we can calculate the percentage on time delivery percentage. Okay. New measure, on time delivery percentage equal to, straightforward, we can go for divide whatever the measures that we created earlier, we can use those. Okay, what is that? On time deliveries, comma, delivered shipments. That's it. So this is on time delivery. Okay, this is on time delivery. So we have calculated. Okay, so let us jump into the report. So if we need any more measures to be created as per the visualization also, as per the analysis also, we can create further. So let me click on edit. Okay, so we added the year, transport mode, free type, free freight, region acquired by slicers. These slicers are useful for filtering the data. Okay, these slicers are useful for filtering the data. So let me go for taking the KPIs, card visuals. Okay, previously we had the normal card for 3-4 months back, but now we got the card, advanced card. Okay, so what do we have here? We can add the value into the card. Okay, we can add the value into the card and the categories. Now, what is the first and foremost thing that we need to add here is, so let me go for adding total revenue into the value. Yes, this is good. So 2.207.72 million dollars. Okay, I would like to change it into dollars. Yes, yesterday. Uh, so we got to know we can go for making it. So go to general. We have a data format. So apply settings to, we can format this into the currency. Then we get the dollar symbol, and you see there are many decimals after the point. So we would like to restrict it to the 2 decimals. Now you see we got 2 decimals. That's wonderful. But we want to showcase something to the client. Okay. We would like to showcase something to the client. So how can we show something to the client? Okay. So we can go to format your visual. And what we can do here is, if you see, we have reference labels. Okay, we have something called as a reference label. So what is that? We have something called as add label. Okay, so what we can show it in the add label is, okay, revenue year on year percentage. Okay, revenue year on year percentage. So what do you see revenue year on year percentage? It is 0.05. What I can do, let me click on 2024. Okay. So in the 2024, okay, the revenue was around 0. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me go to revenue year on year growth. Let me format this. So go to, okay, let me go to reference label only. So let me expand the value and make this into, okay, let me expand this. And also let me go here, let me add the details. So in the details, I can also add the previous year. Okay, I think here I can change. Display unit none, and the decimal I can go for giving, yeah, let it be the same thing. Yeah, here I think I can add in the details. So let me add the revenue previous year. Yes, now we got. In the details, once I added, okay, now you are able to see $93.8386 million is the 2023 previous year amount. Okay, 2023 previous year. Let me change the background color. Okay, the text color into the black. Okay, now we are able to see that $93.86 million of the previous year, but the current year is, I mean, 2024, the selected year is $91.17 million, and there is a difference of 3%. Okay, so 0.03 if I go for taking it as a percentage. Okay, let me make some changes to the percentage. I do not see anything over here. So what I can do, let me go. Do we have the data? Okay, we have it over here. So let me select. Okay, we do not have anything over here. So it should be in here. I think we should have changed this into the percentage. Okay, if you multiply this, okay. So let me go here. Let me click on save. So what do we have year on year percentage? So let me click on multiplied by 100. Actually, what we can do in the Power BI desktop, we can change that into the percentage, and then we can go for. So let me come here and let's see. Did we get anything? Let me click on this. Let me go here. So format your visual reference label. Total revenue, not the total revenue. Let me disable this. Let me expand the reference label. Revenue year on year growth. Let me expand the value. Decimal. Okay. Details. Okay, we do not have that. Okay, we do not have that. Actually it should be reflecting in here, but I don't know why it is not getting reflected. So we have multiplied it with 100. So year on year should be 3%. Okay, if I click on 2025, for example, 2025. So there is a year on year growth of minus 86.99 percentage, 87 percentage. The 2025 total revenue is $11.86 million, but the previous year is $91.17. There is a decrease of, okay, there is a decrease of 87 percentage. Okay, let me go for 26. Okay, now it is 8.74 percentage. So there is a disturbance, there is a discrepancy for the data. So let us not worry about it. So now we can show this directly to the client stating that, okay, this is what the current year sales, this is what the year on year growth, and this is what the previous year sales. Yes, this is good. So what we can do here is go to general effects, enable the visual border so that we get to know that, okay, it is getting divided. Okay, when we have the visual borders, we get to know that, okay, there is a gap or there is a line in between two visuals. Okay, so let me go for taking another card visual. Okay, let me go for taking another card visual. So here what I can do, so we need to add the same thing, key performance indicators. Okay, what is the next thing that we can add is valid shipments. So how many of them are valid shipments? So let me go for, or we can also go for adding, yeah, valid shipments. Let me go for adding valid shipments. Okay, 2000 is the valid shipment, but let me go here and let me make some changes. Cards, valid shipment. What is that? If I want to have the accent bar, you see the line, we can have it shadow if you would like to have the shadow. Glow, we can add something, yeah. You see a little bit of glow. So let me change the color of the glow. Okay. So we can have the position. What is the position that we can have? Call out value. So let me click on value. Yeah. Under the value, make it alignment. Where, how do you want to see the data? And let me go for label. Image, not the image. Okay, I can search for the display unit. Okay. Okay, let me go. It would be in the callout value. Well, let me go for all value. It should be under the value only. So what I'm trying to check is, so I'm able to see 2000, but I do not know whether 2K, whether it is 2100 or 1900, something like that. So that is what I'm trying to check. Yes. So once I changed it into the general, now we are able to see 2.178. Okay, 178K is the value that we have got. So let me also do, let me control C and control V. Okay. So let me go for adding the borders. Okay, go to general, effects, visual borders, turn this on, and the change the color. Let me add the corner. Let me also do this same over here. 5. Yes. Now what we can add over here is, so let me add the next one is loss rate percentage. So let me take this off, loss rate percentage. 0.13 percentage. Let me go here, go to general, data format, format percentage. Yes, 12.73 percentage. Okay, 12.73 percentage. So let me decrease the size a bit so that we can have others. Others can also be added over here. Let me decrease the size a bit. Let me move this little above. Can I move? No, I'm not able to move this. Yes. Now you see red color alignment. So when we are trying to move this, so we are able to see the alignment of the visual. So let me go for adding another one. Okay. Control C, Control V. So let me add another one. Revenue at risk. Another one is revenue at risk. Okay. So what we can do, what is revenue at risk? So it is, so revenue at risk. Okay, let me go here and check. So what is the measure in the revenue at risk? So what do we have? Lost and delayed. Yes, lost and delayed. Yes, we have the same thing. Total revenue. Yes, that's right. Let me go for checking 2025. The value isn't changing. Is it? Yeah, it is changing, but it is not giving the one that we see over here. It is giving the same as total revenue. I don't know why. Why it is giving same as total revenue? Isn't it working? Lost and delayed shipment status, and is void calculate total revenue. Yes, it is. Total revenue. Total revenue, and let me go for revenue at risk. But why it is showing the same value, I do not understand. Okay, let's see that. Let's see that little later. Okay, let's see that little later. So we added a revenue at risk. Okay, revenue at risk, and we can also add one more. Okay, we can also add one more. So revenue at risk percentage. Okay, we can also add revenue at risk percentage. Did we add a revenue at risk percentage? I think we have not added revenue at risk percentage. So what we can do, or okay, we can add on-time delivery percentage. Yes, we have created on-time delivery percentage. So let me click on-time delivery percentage. So go to format, general, data format, make it into percentage. So now we got, so if you see, the on-time deliveries are 25.83 percentage, which is quarter out of 100 percentage. If you take any organization which is delivering on time and it is only 25 percentage, there is a huge problem with the logistics. Okay, there is a huge problem with the logistics. So this is what we have, and also we can go for taking if you want to have the logo of the organization. What we can do, we can go for taking. So let me click on the image, and in the image, expand the style, expand the image, click on browse, and we can get the logo of the organization. What is that? Opex logistics. Now you see we are able to see the logistics. What is that? The logo. So where can we add? Let me decrease a bit. Okay. Let me move this little left side, and let me add just beside on time delivery. So we can have the logo of the organization. Okay, I mean the organization expect that they should have the logo which should be on each and every page, so that so it can be like copyrights. Okay, it can also be like copyrights. So this is what we have it. And what is the next thing that we need to do? Okay, the next thing is that so we need to go for taking a line chart. Okay, we need to go for taking the line chart. So let me decrease the size a bit. Multi-row card title. Okay, we can go for horizontal, vertical, grid. Okay, let me go for decreasing the gap. Okay, now okay, let me decrease the little bit. So we have an option called as call out value actually. So we can go for decreasing the size. Okay, let me decrease the size. Now you see call out value, we can decrease the size a bit so that we can have more space for having the visuals. Yes. The next thing that we can go for taking is line chart. The next thing I can go and take the line chart. So what we can do with the line chart? Okay, what we can do with the line chart? So let me move this above. so that we can have a bit space. So now we are lagging the space. So let me have this move little above. So we should be having a little gap in between each and every visual so that we get to know they are getting separated. Yes, now I can go. I can align based on the red color alignment. I can align my visuals. Yes, I can also move this little above. Now I can also move this. You can use the arrow. So what we can do here is, okay, so we can go here and let me take in the line chart, I can go and take from the date, I can expand the date hierarchy. Under the date, I can select the date hierarchy, date, and let me take off the day and quarter. Okay, here what I can do in the y-axis, I can add the revenue previous year. Okay, revenue PY, and in the x-axis we can in the next one we can add is total revenue. In the same y-axis we can add total revenue. And what we can do we have any filters applied? Let me check. Okay, why it shows the same thing, total revenue. Okay, so let me click on expand to one more level. Okay, now you see we are able to see that there is a trend between the previous year sales and current year sales. You can see the trend. Okay, you see, if you see May 2024, the revenue previous year is 10 some million dollars, but for the total revenue it is $7.4 million. So go to format your visual. Okay, so if you want to have the shades, yes, we can have the shades. Expand the lines. Okay, let me click on revenue previous year. So what is the type of interpolation type that we can have? Do we need to have the linear or we can have the smooth? Now you see. So I can go for selecting one more. I can go for making it into smooth. Okay, now we are able to see. And also if you would like to change the color of the previous year, if you want to make some changes, yes, we can go for changing the color. Markers, we want to see the marker dotted lines. Yes, we can see that. Data labels, yes, we can see the data labels. Okay, series label, if you would like to see the series level, yes, we can see whether it is a revenue previous year or total revenue. Okay, we can see even though we have the legend, the one which you see revenue PY and total PY. Okay, revenue PY, the one which you see, I'm highlighting revenue PY and total revenue. This is called as a legend. Okay, but here also we are able to see 11 revenue PY by the series label. Okay, series label. So this is what we can have. We can see January, February, okay, till where we can see till December, we can see that what is the difference between the revenue previous year and the current year. Okay, this is what we can do. So let me also add, go to general effects. Let me add visual borders and let me expand the color if you would like to add the color. So let us go with the same thing. So recently, yesterday or day before yesterday, we got the new update from the Microsoft Power BI stating that we have a theme. We can add the theme to whole pages. I'll show that at the end of the session. I'll show that what is the new Power BI July month updates. So this is revenue previous year. The next thing is that let me go for taking total shipments by shipment status. Let me go, let me select the donut chart. Let me remove this. Let me remove this. What I can do, let me go for taking the total shipments. So what is that? Shipment status and the total shipments. Now you see we are able to see what is that. So this is by the percentage. Out of 100 percentage, what is the, so what is the percentage that it is taken? Okay, delivered is 38.68 percentage have delivered. in the 2024, the remaining all are lost, cancelled, in transit. So if you take out of 100 percentage, not even 50% of the products are being, the shipments are being delivered. Okay, this is the biggest drawback of the organization. Okay, this is the biggest drawback of the organization. Let me select the colors, some good looking colors. So actually in the organization, what do? We select the colors of the logo or whatever the standard colors that the company is using. So most of the time they select the colors. The each and every organization would have certain set of colors. We use that only. Okay, so this is total shipment by shipment status. The next thing I can go for is, okay, I can go and take the clustered column chart. In the clustered column chart, I can go for taking region and total revenue. So what is the region? Okay, and total revenue. So this is total revenue by region. So go to the format, expand the columns. So you see the colors. Let me go for selecting the colors. Yes, I can go for selecting the colors. The next one is also the same thing. Let me go for taking the general effects, visual border, turn on the visual borders, select the same color that we selected for the previous visuals and have the visual borders. Okay, and we can also add the data labels so that we get to know what are the numbers that we are able to see. South region, it is $21 million. Okay, these are all. Central is the lowest, which has contributing the $13 million. Okay, so $13 million. So the next thing is that total revenue by freight type. Okay, I can go for selecting another one. Total revenue by freight type. Yes, now we are able to see. Go to format, expand the data labels, enable the data labels, and let me also select the colors. Some interesting, good looking colors. Okay, light colors. Okay, light colors are always preferable to the clients because we can see it should not be reflecting to our senses. It should not be having a problem to our eyes. So that is the reason. So most of the people, they go for the light colors. So let me also have the visual borders. So make it 5 as the rounded corners. So this is the overview of the report. Okay, this is overview. So when the client gets in here, so he can easily understand what is going on with the project, the numbers, the values and all. So let me go for taking another one, right click and click on duplicate so that we can have the slices existing in the page. So there is no need of creating the slicers again and again, and also the KPIs again and again. So the next one is, okay, delay and deliveries and delay. Delivery and delay. So how much did we deliver and how much did we delayed? Okay, let me click on this. Okay, so what we are missing is, so we need to have something called as a target percentage. Each and every organization would have something, the target 90%, 85%. Okay, if they go for any planning, if they go for target, or if they go for what is that? My budget is $1 million. So by the end of the year, it should, at least I should reach my target, my budget, or in the next 2 years I need to get my budget, or in the next 5 years I need to earn more than my budget. So for that, what do we need to do? We need to add, let me add a measure. Okay, let me add a measure. Actually we need to add a calculated column, but here let me try adding that. Okay, let me try adding that. So what is that? Target equal to 95. Let me try adding that 95. Okay, target equal to 95. Let me go here. So let me click on edit. click on this. What do we need to do? Let me take this off. Okay, let us have the same thing. So from the dim date, let me add the month. Okay, let me take this off. So where is the target? Do we have the target? Let me add the target. Target into the y-axis. Okay, so we got 95% as the target. What is the next thing that we need to add is on-time delivery percentage. Okay, on time. So it went into, where does it go? On-time delivery. So it went into the, okay, let me add the target in the same y-axis. So if you see here, what we are able to see, okay, let me go and change something over here. In the data labels, let me go for target. In the value, let me make it into, uh, okay, in the date format, let me go for effects, data format, on-time delivery, percentage, and target into the percentage. Okay. Okay. When we are changing that percentage, it is getting multiplied. Okay. I do not want to make it anything into. Let it be the same number. Okay. So if you go here, okay, if you go here, let me go click on the focus mode. Okay. So on the left side, it is on the 2000 to 8000 percentages. So on the x-axis, okay, on the x-axis, this is not the right. So what do we need to do here is, so we need to go, what is the minimum offset? So let me go for 0 2. Okay. Let me go to 0 2. For example, let me go for 1. Okay. Did it change? No, it did not change. Let me go for 100. Did it change? No, it did not change. Is it the same for? Okay, let me go to x-axis. Layout. Okay, y-axis. Let me go for range. Yeah. The range, we can select the range 1 to 0 to 1. Let me select 0. The maximum is 1. Yes, I think we got it. But where is the target? So target is disappeared. Where did the target go? I think the target need to be changed it into the percentage. Is that auto? Let me go to, let me make this into display unit. Target, target, let me go. Where is the target? Display unit, decimal. So let me go to general and let me make some changes in here. Target, let me go for making it into percentage. Are we able to see that? Percentage format, 1000 separator. Okay, we are not able to see that. But the thing is that, so we can have the target, maybe target went down. Let me add the, where is that? Yes, we got the target. I have added it into another secondary y-axis. So let me go and make some changes to the target. Okay, it is in the data format. It is in percentage, make it into general. Okay, so 1000, let me go for percentage format. No. So let me go for auto. Okay, in the decimal places, we do not want to see any decimals. Okay, zero decimals. Okay, zero decimals. Now, if I click on this, okay, 95 percentage is the value. But if you see in the month of January, so it is 95 percentage is the target, but the on-time delivery is 29.63 only. Now you see. how bad it is. Not even in the year 2024, nothing has reached, not even 50%. So let me go for selecting 2025. Okay. So let me click on the focus mode in the 2025. If you see July, nothing has reached. Okay, nothing has reached the target. Okay, let me go for making it into the 2024 only. So where this year coming from? Let me go and check where this year is coming from. Date, yeah, it is the same thing. The year should be coming from the same date. Yeah. So the next one is, okay, on-time delivery and the target. And the next one is we can go for selecting the clustered bar chart. So let me take this off. Let me take this off. Clustered bar chart. So here what we can do, we can add the delay reason. So why did it got delayed and what is the total shipments for that delay? Okay, total shipments for that delay. Okay, so what is that? Let me ignore, okay, delay reason. Let me take off the select all. Let me take off the blank. Okay, so let me take off the blank in the filtration and go to format your visual and select the bars. We can select each and every color of the bars. Okay, let me click on mechanical. And what is the reason? Mechanical got 50%, 50, and customs, what is that? Customs, driver shortage, that is the reason for the delay, weather condition, traffic, carrier issue, port ingestion. So these are all the reasons for the delay. Let me click on different colors. Let me go for customs and go for changing the colors. The next one is driver shortage. Change the color. Next one is weather. Let me go for changing the color. Traffic. Let me go and change the color of the traffic. And the next one is carrier issue. So I can go and change the color of the carrier issue. Yes, let it be the same thing. Okay, now we got it. And the next one, total shipments by acquired by. Okay, so here what I can do, let me add total shipments and acquired by. Okay, so the carriers are being acquired by someone. Okay, so what is that? Let me go for focus mode, and if you see, Holdings US Private Limited is one of the carriers. Okay, and to and fro services, Fox International, Blue Dart Express. These are all the, under this we would have many what we can see, many carriers. If I expand the carrier and if I add the carrier name under the acquired by, okay, so if I, now you see we got, okay, so what are all under the blue dot? So these are all the under the blue dot. These are all the carriers under the Fox International Holdings. Okay, these are all what we have. Okay, let me take this off for now. So this is acquired by, and how many of them are carrying this. Next one is late deliveries by the carrier name. Okay, let me add the carrier name. Take this off. And what are all the late deliveries? Do we have late deliveries? I think we, okay, late deliveries. We do not have the late deliveries, but what we can do, we need to calculate this. And again, the late deliveries are also based on the, I think we have created that. What is that? Delivered shipment, I think. Okay, let me go and check over here. So let me click on save. Okay, so what is that late deliveries? Let me check whether we have on-time deliveries or not. On-time deliveries. No, it is not there. Let me right click and create a new measure called as a late deliveries. Okay, it is delivered. Okay, we have, again, we need to keep two things in here. Late deliveries, it is delivered. Okay, the first thing is that status should be delivered. Okay, status is delivered, but the thing is that actual delivery date, okay, delivery date greater than shipment date. Sorry, estimated date, estimated date. So based on this, we can calculate, okay, calculate, okay, total shipments, comma, shift enter for the next line. What we can do, status equal to delivered. Yes, it is delivered, but the thing is that, okay, filter. So here we need to give the shift enter for the next line, actual delivery greater than estimated delivery. So this is the main reason. Okay, this is the main reason that this is a late delivery. Yes, it is delivered, but the thing is that it is delivered, it is delayed. Okay, let me click on edit. So what is that? Let me go for adding the late deliveries. Late deliveries. Now, if you see, these are all the late deliveries. Okay, these are all the late deliveries. Okay, this is about the delivery and delays. So in the second page, what we are trying to do, we are trying to showcase. This is a main key component, key measure for the logistics. On-time delivery and target. So what is the total shipment? What is the reason for the delay? And overall acquired by, so that we can get in touch with Holding US Private Limited and ask them, okay, 50% of your shipments are being delivered late. What is the reason? And these are all the carriers. And these are all the carriers we can get into those acquired by, and we can talk with them. Okay. The company can talk with the carriers. So this is delivery and delays. Next one. Okay. The next one is customers and revenue. Customers and revenue. Okay. Yes, the customers are important. So what do we need to do? Okay, we did a mistake. So right click and click on duplicate. Okay. So let me copy this. Let me delete the page. Let me rename this. So what first and foremost thing, let me delete this and let me go for adding. This is completely by the customers. Okay, this page is dedicated to the customers. So let me click on stacked bar chart. What we can do with the stacked bar chart is we can go for having the customers, total revenue by customers. Let me click on total revenue and by the customers, expand the customers and add the customer name. Okay, now you see we got, these are all the customers. Who are all the customers? Okay, these are all the customers. Sorry, this is the contact name. So customer name is this. Yeah. So what I can do, I can go here. If I would like to change the bar color, I can go here and change the bar color into something else. Light color. A little. Yes. So this is by the customers. Go to general. Let me have the data labels. Okay. Let me have the data labels. Next one. Okay. Next one. I can decrease the size a bit. I can move this. Okay. We need to have the visual border. Go to general, date effects, enable the border. So let me have the color and have the rounded corners. Yes. Now we have the rounded corners. Let me move this little bit aside. So because we need to have another visual, having it in here. Let me decrease this. Here what we can do, we can go for having the donut chart, total revenue by sector. Okay, let me take this off. Let me take this off. So here let me add the total revenue from the customer. Let me add the sector. So what is that? Food, beverages and all. So what is, if you take food and beverages is contributing out of 100 percentage of all the sectors, food and beverages is contributing 20 percentage. Next one is retail. Okay, next one is retail. Let me go for having a table visual. Okay, in the table, what we can add is we have something called as origin city. Okay, let me check whether we have origin city or not. Yes, we have origin city. Origin city. Let me add city. Okay, origin city, destination city, and total shipments. Okay, now you see we got total shipments by origin city and destination city. Origin city. So how many of them are traveling? So what is the origin city? Atlanta, the shipments. Okay. Destination city is the Charlotte. How many shipments? 4 shipments. So these are all we have it. Actually, it should go under delivery and delays. Okay, it should go under delivery and delays. Okay, let it be. Let it be. Let me click on this and have the expand, go to general, date for effects, visual border, and get the color and increase the size. That's it. Yeah. So the next thing is that, okay, the next thing is that what we can do here is, okay, the next thing is that, so let me go for adding, okay, let me decrease this size a bit. Okay, let me increase this a bit. So what we can do on this here is, let me take a table visual. Now we can add something called as some details about the customers. So from the customer, let me add account tire. What is the city? The customer city. Okay, this is the customer city. Customer city. And what is the customer name? And what is the join date? If we have anything, something like that, join date, yes, we can have that. But we need to change the format of the join date. Okay, let me take this off. For now, let me say take this off. What is the sector? And total shipments. Total shipments. Again, valid shipments. Total revenue. So these are all we can add. Total revenue till here we can add. So what is the next thing that we can add here is, okay, the same thing, whatever we have seen, origin, city and all, we can go for selecting the map. Okay, in the map, what we can add? So we can add, what we can add is, we can add the region and total shipments. Okay, let me check for the region. Let me add the region, or we can also go for adding something else, a destination city or something like that. Destination city, destination city, and in the destination city, so what are all the total shipments? Okay, bubble size is based on the total shipments. Late deliveries, let me take this off. Yes, let me click on focus mode. Okay, if you see here, okay, client gets to know that these are all the shipments to the destination, not from city. It is to city. So to city is Portland. The total shipments are 336. I mean, which is like total shipments are like 336 trucks are being traveling, probably like that. Okay. Next one in the California, Las Vegas, San Diego. Next one is Memphis. Okay, Kansas. So these are all the cities, and the least one is Boston 105, and again in the Florida 94, Tampa. Okay, these are all the lowest one out of all the shipments available. Tampa is the lowest, so where it is only 94. Okay, 94 shipments are being carried. understand the business so that it would be easy for you to explain in the interview. The main ultimate goal is to how well you can explain the project in the interview. Okay, how well you can explain the project in the interview. What you can do, what you can make. Now you see revenue at risk is calculated well, but in there it is not getting calculated well. So what is the revenue at risk? So whether it is a lost or delayed, and it should be, if you see, if you take what you can see, out of $91.2 million, $24 million are revenue at risk. Probably like 20%, 25% of your earnings, okay, the Opex logistics is at risk. This is a high value. If you take any e-commerce website, what do they do? The standard percentage of the defected products should be less than 5% or less than 10% only. It is 25%, more than that. It's a quarter of your earnings, quarter of the business earning. So this is the biggest risk. Okay, 24 million is the biggest risk. Loss rate is 12.73%. It should be less than 5% only. Okay, so you are preparing, it is just like we are trying to prepare roti, 100 rotis. So out of 100 rotis, 25 rotis are being damaged. So that's a useless. Your 25% of work is being damaged. That's the biggest problem. Okay, and what is the delay reason? Why it is getting delayed? What are all the delay reason? Okay, this is the main thing, mechanical, whether it can be repairing of the carriers, trucks, customs. So you see, we see at the toll plazas, the people are going to check, the custom people are going to check whether it is a right or not. Okay, the documentation, the shipments are all. Driver shortage, 40. Weather condition, okay, weather condition, we can, okay, we can, no problem, we can. And traffic, this is the main thing. Okay, carrier issue, port congestion. So these are all the reasons for the carrier delay reasons. Okay, and we have not added something called as a what is the mode of transportation again. Okay, mode of transportation. So if I go for transport mode, now you see air, let me click on next level. So out of air, what are all the problem? Okay, let me click on above. So railway, airways has the lot of problem. Total shipments are 152. Again, if I go to the focus mode and again, if I click on this, okay, or let me go for the next level. Okay, out of airways, how many of them have problem? Railways doesn't have any problem. It is going well. So we can also go for managing that. Okay. Why the late deliverables? Okay. Why there is a late deliverables? The reason, main reason. Okay. The financial exposure. Okay. The financial exposure. If I take this off, for example, so out of, so there is no selection of the year over here. No selection. From 2023 to 2026, you see 59.31% is lost plus delayed shipments. Okay, lost plus delayed shipments. So this is a good information, insight we can give it to the client. Okay, these are all about the project.